Welcome back to another fabulous episode of Hair What I'm Saying. I'm your host, Kinetra, and today we're stepping into the art and business of hair braiding. Our guest today is no stranger to the art of braiding, and together we're about to tackle some burning questions that have ignited fiery debates within the beauty industry. From the price of perfection to cultural sensitivities, it's no secret that hair can be a touchy subject, especially when it comes to the artistry of braiding. From price wars to cultural clashes, we're tackling all head on with our expert guest, Vandy. Now, without further ado, let's stir the pot and get started with today's conversation on how customers respond to the way braiders operate their professionalism and business. How are we doing, Vandy?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you so much for carving time out of your schedule, girl. Let me tell y'all, we went through a lot. We have the daiquiris to prove
we
it.
Sure do. We sure do.
We went through a lot to bring y'all this content.
That and mixing that with the holiday schedule didn't help at all either.
Absolutely.
But teamwork makes the dream work. We're getting it there.
We got it done, y'all, and we here, and we about to get it on and popping.
That's right.
Finally.
That's right.
I had to take another sip just so we can keep it going and popping. Okay. All right. So we're joining you here today at your salon. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
So we are here at my salon, BLS Hair Braided Beauty Studio, located in Pflugerville, Texas. We have been here since May of 2021. But
Congratulations. That's pretty recent.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, yeah, time goes by pretty quick.
Yeah. It don't feel like 2 years, right? 2.5 years. But after COVID, like everything after COVID feels recent, because it went by so fast.
You're right. Yeah. You're absolutely right. But believe it or not, during COVID, that's when business started booming because everybody still needed their hair done.
That's true. No, that's very true. Yeah. So, how were you able to operate?
During COVID?
Yeah.
Well, I was working from home at the time.
Okay.
So during COVID, everything shut down, including the hair salons, barbershops, and whatnot. But a lot of people were still working from home and still having to do their Zoom call meetings, and so
you had to
door
get it
was they knocking on?
That's right. That's true.
Yeah. So actually, my business doubled during COVID because I had so many people, especially a lot of parents with kids who needed their hair done. A blessing in disguise, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's funny you say that because I believe I opened in 2019 and business was very slow. But after COVID, it did pick up. And I guess it's like, look, I haven't had my hair done and I don't know how long.
And people needed more services that didn't require a lot of chemicals, a lot of extra tools and extra mechanics to get it done.
They need lower maintenance.
They needed lower maintenance, styles that lasted longer, and natural hair services.
Absolutely. That's very true. Because I did see like more of an incline of like sew-ins versus like, I want to come and get my natural curls defined. It was none of that, honey. Not even silk presses.
That's right.
So it was like you said, it was those heavy duty styles.
That's right.
Because I don't know when the next time I can come because everything was just so shut down, so.
And you notice also an influx in men getting locks?
Yes, they did.
Because they couldn't get barbering services.
I didn't notice until now. Even women, though, right?
Absolutely.
Women, I feel like women definitely tapped into locks after COVID.
Oh yeah, during COVID, that was like the season of soft locks and faux locks because people wanted something they could wear for months on end, and I got nothing but requests. But then after we started opening up and outside started opening up more, you got less and less requests for it.
What did you see more being requested?
Once outside opened up, anything knotless, long to the flow, more boho styles.
To the floor? You done braided to the floor?
One time.
So you did it that one time?
One time. After that I'll do it again, but I won't do it unless I have extra hands.
So did you have extra hands?
Yeah.
Okay, so how long did it take?
The one to the floor I think it took 7 hours, but that was only because my assistant.
That's not bad to the floor.
My assistant wasn't able to come until like the midway point.
Okay, so it probably could have cut down some time if she had been there from the start.
So and it wasn't like terribly small. Like when you get like smaller and longer, that's when the time is.
So it's like medium.
Yeah.
Okay. So what? How do you upkeep that? Just curious.
Actually, people think that braids are a lot of maintenance.
Well, no, just the ones to the floor.
The ones to the floor. Yeah. Well, the ones to the floor, they actually have it down pat because they're usually the people who get it to the floor all the time.
So they know.
They know how to maintain it. They know how to put it up when they need to put it up. They that's just their thing. That's their style. That's their look. But the ones who are doing it for the first time, it's like, you're going to have to learn.
Yeah, probably graduate. Like, go from mid-back to waist sling to under the cuff of the butt.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle choice.
Yeah.
It's a lifestyle choice. Like, I couldn't go any longer than what I have now because I'm so little. Like, the hair would, like, overtake me.
Yes, that's true. No, for real. And that's funny you said it because I'm very mindful of length whenever I get anything added because I'm like, I'm already little. Like, I don't want to add all this hair and it look like it's overpowering me and I got so much hair on my head.
Yeah, I'm out here looking like a swamp monster because I have so much going on.
That's very true because I do subconsciously, I'm very aware of like, no, that's too much hair or that's, or it's not enough too, it's like that happy medium, That's true. So what inspired you to become a braider? Like, how did it all start?
So, actually, I didn't know I was going to ever become a braider because I went to college for accounting. And I was an accountant for 15 years before I even got into doing this professionally. But hair was always just my thing. I was always that girl in school, that girl in my friend group that just knew everything about hair. And before we had videos, we had hair magazines. So
that's true.
Every time my mom would go to
some of them magazines, what was the name of them?
Hype Hair.
Hype Hair, girl, with the little
Jet had like a whole section in it.
Yes.
Yes. And then like you would go to like the salon and they would have like the catalog books and you could see like what's in there. But any black magazine always had a hair section.
That's true.
And they would always have somebody in there who was like giving you step by step. This is how you do a blowout. This is how you do a silk, not a silk press back then. It was always just like a flat iron.
Yes.
But even before that, all we had was hot combs.
That's true. That's very true.
But I actually it was almost like cosmetology school, like on my own time. I would just go through and then I would actually be in the bathroom at 14 and testing all these things out with all these products that my mom wasn't using anymore.
Yeah. So you started around the age of 14?
Around the age of 14 or so. And it was really difficult because I'm the only girl in my family. I only have brothers. And so I would always enlist my girlfriends or friends to be guinea pigs and whatnot. But after a while, they just started trusting me with the process. And so I was always the go-to person until I got to high school. And I was very active in the band and we did competitions a lot. And my drum major came to me and she was like, hey, for the competitions, I want to wear my hair in braids, like just two French braids for the competitions because she didn't want the hair like all in her face. And so I started doing her hair for the competitions and I just started to get a little creative with it. And then when I joined the color guard my sophomore year, they wanted to do braids for the competitions for the entire team. And so I started being the resident hairstylist for that. And I would be braiding hair on the buses, like on our way to competitions.
Would it be with extensions or their hair or both?
No, I was just learning how to braid regular hair at that time because I lived in the country. I wasn't close to a lot of salons or people who were in salons and not close to a lot of beauty supply stores. So I still didn't know nothing about extensions at that point. I was just learning how to braid at that point. Basically training my hands and the muscle memory how to do it. And so I just got good at it after a while. And then I went to college I didn't go to college for hair. Yeah, I went to college for business and accounting. Graduated,
which is still a good, girl for what we do.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. For this, what we do now, Let me tell you, God works in mysterious ways, and I would not be where I am right now without that background.
Absolutely.
For sure. So yeah, I went to school. I got a bachelor's and a master's in accounting. I worked in accounting for a long time. Worked in every industry except for manufacturing and construction until I got to like an executive level in nonprofit, and I just wasn't satisfied with it. Meanwhile, all this time, I'm still moonlighting as a hairstylist.
Okay.
So I'm still like taking clients, like,
but
every time we moved, because my husband joined the military 2 years after we got married, and so we moved around a lot. So a way for me to like make a little extra money on the side was to, just say, hey, I can do some hair. So I was still taking, a client or two per week.
Yeah.
Until we moved to Austin. And then when I moved to Austin, apparently there was a shortage of Black hairstylists here.
It still is.
And so we moved to the not Cedar Park area, but like Lakeline area. And you know how the demographic is up there.
Absolutely.
And my kids went to a birthday party for one of their kids at the school. And I met a girl there, and she was asking me all these questions about me and my daughter's hair. And I said, well, if you want to come by this weekend, I can do your hair, how you're asking about. Girl, she came over. I did her hair. It took me 6 or 7 hours or something like that because she had a lot of hair.
OMG.
She went back to her church the following day, choir rehearsal, and gave my number to everyone there. The following week,
and what year is this?
This was like 2012.
Okay.
2012 or something like that. The following week, my phone was just blowing up.
Blowing
up. And I'm like, okay, well, I can fit you in on the weekend. I can do X, Y, and Z.
But still having your job, right? Okay.
Oh, I was still working full time, and I was working on my master's at the time. So I was still doing a whole bunch.
Full-time mom, full-time wife, full-time student, full-time, well, you were about to become a full-time braider, then full-time accountant.
Yes, almost. And I was
girl.
If I'm going to do this as my creative outlet, then I might as well just make some money doing it. So I started taking it more seriously. And then when I moved my job from South Austin to North Austin, everything was just kind of like in its little bubble. I was getting more clients. I was getting more requests. And back then, we didn't have Instagram like that. It wasn't that big of a deal. So
it
back
wasn't
then,
back then. Because I think I got my first account in 2013. So you're right.
Around that time. And
people weren't using it for that either.
Nobody was using it. Especially the people in our age group at that time. We weren't really using it to like look for services or anything like that.
It was just visual.
Yeah. So everything I got was either through word of mouth or Craigslist.
Girl, you go. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Word of mouth or Craigslist. Yeah.
Baby, this right here, this is a different type of hairstylist right here. Okay.
Yeah.
This is signed, sealed, and delivered. She didn't have to use social media to get where she at today.
And I hope that's something that we touch on later, because social media it's a great marketing tool now, but it's still not the best marketing tool in my opinion.
What do you think it is? Want to touch on that later?
We can.
We're going to talk about that.
But I talk about it in my social media all the time. I just don't think people are reading the captions.
Okay. I think I know what you're talking about, but I want to make sure because I want to see if we are aligning where I feel like it is the best social media. I mean, not social media, the best marketing tool.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's actually it has nothing to do with social media.
It has nothing to do with it. Yeah,
girl, I want to know now. Wait a minute.
We'll add that into the actual storyline. So actually, some of my best clients I actually got off of Craigslist.
I was not thinking Craigslist
because it was the cheapest way to market to people in your local area. Back then.
Okay, yes, back then Craigslist was. I'm thinking about today. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, back then it was. At one point it was free, and then they bumped it up to like $5 a post, but the post lasted for 30 days.
Yeah.
And when I tell you, I used to get hit after hit after hit. It was always sketchy.
Sketchy,
but you always had to, be on your P's and Q's and make sure you ask the right questions. And that's kind of like how you start building a good booking policy there, because you want to make sure that you're attracting the right people and making sure that you're saying no to the right people.
Absolutely, girl.
I also chanced it because there were the people that I was targeting didn't live in my area per se, because we were in Lakeline area, but most people lived on this side of 35. So I opted to do a lot of traveling services as well. So I would do mobile braiding, and I would go to people's houses and braid their hair.
How did that work out?
It wasn't that bad, actually. Okay. I had very set rules about that, like, make sure that you don't have extra people or extra things. I have a space. I'd bring a chair that was comfortable for my height. I made sure I had all my tools and stuff ready and make sure they had what they needed. Now, if I walked into a place and I felt uncomfortable, I would say, hey, I don't feel comfortable. Maybe we need to pick a new location, for this. But it was worked better for me and my family because at the time my kids were a lot younger at that time. And we didn't want people coming in and out of the house all the time. I had set hours at my house or my apartment that people could come in, and then if I had to take a client outside of those hours, then I would go to them.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
My husband is military, so
still in.
Yeah. No, he got out in 2014, but he's always been good about keeping me on my P's and Q's when I'm by myself.
Especially military background. I get, trust me, I know.
But yeah, some of my best and loyal clients I got off of Craigslist a long time ago. And then I started doing like a little Facebook page, and I would post here and there, but that didn't really work well for me because all of the people that are on my Facebook page are from back home, South Carolina.
Oh, so it's like, who are you attracting?
I'm not really marketing to the right people.
That's right.
So
that's right.
That was around the time Facebook started introducing the business pages. Yes. And so we started to be able to use that as marketing. And then this was before they even bought Instagram. So those are two separate platforms.
It was.
And then back to the marketing part of it. My best marketing tool was always my clients.
Yeah, word of mouth.
It was always my clients. One, it was them having word of mouth, making sure that they had the best service possible.
Yes.
That way that when they repeat what they did, what they experienced, it was always a good thing because I'm gonna believe what you say to me directly.
Absolutely.
Over some Instagram
online, social media.
I'm gonna believe that. Because you're going to hear the excitement, you're going to hear the tone, you're going to hear the inflection in my voice, and you're going to be like, no, do it. I recommend this person 10 times over. I'm not going to steer you wrong.
Absolutely.
And then now you're tied to that client, and that client is tied to you.
Yeah, that's right.
So in the beginning, I would give them incentives. I'd give them a card like, hey, you referred 3 people, I'm going to give you $50 off your style. And back then, we weren't charging a whole lot.
Not charging what you should have been.
Exactly. I didn't know and we didn't have a lot to compare ourselves to because a lot of people who did what we did didn't market.
Yeah.
They didn't market. No. And if you knew somebody who did do what we did,
that's true.
You had to know somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody.
That's right.
To get referred
That was the marketing. That was the marketing tool, right? Wasn't no email marketing. It was none of that. That's true.
So on top of them being a salesperson for you, if what they're selling looks good,
somebody's going to ask anyway.
They going to ask.
Especially in Austin.
They going to ask. And then for us, it was always going to the grocery store.
That's right.
That's where we saw our people because, where we came from, we're like, all the black people at.
Girl.
Back then, we was like, where all the black people at?
Still like
and then
that.
we go to H-E-B and you see one at the end of the aisle and you make eye contact and you be like, I see you, girl.
Yes.
I see you. And then the next thing you know, y'all in the dairy section, trading numbers.
Yeah, and it's still like that to a degree. It's still like that
to a degree. But I feel like the younger generation is just too scared to ask or say anything. Yeah. They're like, well, let me see if I can find that social first and then I'll hit them up.
Yeah.
They won't walk up to you and talk
to you. No. It's been a long time since someone walked up to me and inquired about anything.
And if they do, you can always tell they're a little bit older.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's very true. That is very true. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Girl. So this will be all cut it out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Let me get my sips in.
That was some good information. That was great. Girl, I was not expecting Craigslist. I wasn't expecting that.
Oh, yeah.
So at any point, did it become a situation where you started to feel a little imbalanced because you are literally operating full-time as a mom, a wife, as an accountant and also as a braider because now the clientele has built up. So was there any point where you was like, some gotta give? And I know mommy and wifey ain't going nowhere.
Exactly. Right? Exactly. They here to stay. Well, when we moved from the Lakeline area and we bought our home, I was also getting a new job at the time. And I knew that job was going to be pretty demanding. And I really loved what I did. I loved accounting.
Okay.
But as I was getting into the job, I was like, okay, well, I can't do this salary job and do braiding at the same time because I'm basically on call all the time. So how am I going to fit in a scheduled client on the weekends if I'm going to be doing work for my main job all the time? So I actually tried to give it up. I tried to give it up. I tried to refer people out, but I didn't know a lot of people I could refer my clients to.
No, because it's nobody. It was nobody here.
And then at the same token, and we've all been there before. Once you build that trust in that relationship with the person that you trust with your hair, you're like,
y'all don't want to go nowhere,
right? They don't want to go nowhere. So I had a good amount of clients who were like, look, I don't know what you're going to do, but you can't give this up. And I'm like, well, I don't know how I'm going to do both.
Yes.
I don't know how I'm going to do both. So we're going to have to put you on a schedule. I can only see you once a month or once every other month and put them on styles like that. But when I tell you, I had people, even when I didn't have like a salon set up, because I had a salon suite up north at some point. When I moved to my house, they did not care. They was like, I will bend over your sink.
They sure will.
And I will do what you need to do to wash my hair and get me going. And I'm like, y'all don't understand. I am 5'1". Bending over the sink
trying to reach my little arm.
Girl, I wish I had videos and pictures back then. I'd be on my little stool, getting it in.
You're on the stool.
Getting it in.
Girl, height challenge problems 101. Lordy have mercy.
I even had some natural hair clients who like clockwork every week would come get their hair washed, conditioned, and then I would set it in like a roller set or something.
So you was doing other styles outside of braiding. Okay.
I was doing anything natural related. I learned how to do everything up front. Like I learned how to do sew-ins. I was pretty good at them, but I didn't really like it.
I was gonna say, at what point did you decide like I'm gonna be a braider, a professional braider, like, and I'm not gonna do anything else? Or do you still, every now and again you will do some other natural hairstyles, or because I see you marking more for braids, because your face is telling me like I do some natural hair stuff.
So here's the thing. So when I tried to give it up and I couldn't give up the clients, I still had a rotating schedule of clients and I was still working my full-time job. What ended up happening was my full-time job became too stressful. Okay. And it was to the point where it was like affecting me physically. Like I was having horrible migraines. I was stressing out. I was having panic attacks, anxiety attacks. It was just too much. And I have family members who have been through stuff like that. And I didn't want it to escalate to something that I couldn't reverse. And so I said, I asked God, I said, well, what am I going to do? Because I can't keep doing this. I mean, we still got to pay these bills. So I know you're going to make a way. We're going to figure it out. And one day he came to me in a dream and he gave me the date, the time. He said, you're going to quit your job on this day and you're going to go do the thing that you've been doing on the side for a little while. And we're going to see where it goes. Yeah. And so the plan was for me to quit my job, take some time off at FMLA, and just get a break and start
to recharge. Because you trying to open up a business now.
Well, that wasn't the plan. Here's the thing.
Wait a minute.
The plan was for me to take an intermission and then get myself together, get myself healed, and my mind right, and then to go look for another job or position that fit what I was looking for.
Still in accounting.
Oh,
you just weren't happy with the job.
With the job itself.
Okay.
Yeah, so I didn't get these degrees for nothing. So I was trying to put them
I need to use these things.
I was trying to put them to use. Yeah. So I said, well, I'll be fine. I had enough in savings to cover me for a good 6 months or so. I said, I'll be fine. I'll just do hair in the meantime, to pay the bills because, it is what it is. And even at that time, I wasn't charging enough.
Girl, are you today? Because I'm telling you,
I don't think I'm charging enough.
Okay, because I'm telling you,
I really don't.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. So I quit my job and then I started taking clients full time. And once I put the email out to the list, the referrals started coming in again. So all of a sudden they're telling their friends, "Oh, she's doing it full time. She got more openings."
So then you went to email marketing after this. See, that's what I thought you was gonna say back then. But back then, email marketing wasn't a real thing. You're right, it's Craigslist. But yeah, so the email marketing.
But remember that program I told you that I'm on, the account, the system, they had email marketing in it.
It's like they were already ahead of their time. It's like the beauty industry, the bookkeeping.
Yeah. Like, well, that's why I said me getting those degrees and having the experience in corporate and business helped me in the long run because I already knew how to run a business.
Yeah.
I just didn't know the hair part of it.
Yeah.
So,
you did it the right way.
Apparently I did.
No, you did. Because, we're not taught to be business-minded, business-oriented, or anything in school,
And that's part of the problems that we're having now.
Absolutely.
And
you
why
see
there's
more
so much
creators.
backlash. Yes.
You see more, the backlash.
That's why we out here fighting and tussling with folks because we got too many out here who don't know how to run a business.
Yes, indeed.
So once you learn how to separate those two and know how to work both of them, then it eventually comes together.
That's right. Absolutely.
But for the most part, what I did was I didn't know what I was going to do. So I'm like, okay, well, I need to be a jack of all trades. I need to have all opportunities and doors open for me just in case. So not only was I doing hair, I was doing makeup. I was doing
makeup. Did you do your makeup today? It looks so good.
Thank you.
I really thought you went to somewhere and got your makeup done.
Girl, I still have people in my DMs asking me about doing their makeup for stuff. And I'm like, I haven't done makeup in years.
It looks really good. Because I was like, okay, she went and got her makeup done.
Yep. I even had time to start my YouTube channel, which is what I wanted to do all along in the first place. So I started my YouTube channel doing makeup, but the makeup videos weren't doing enough. Yeah. They weren't getting enough traction until all I knew was that I studied like YouTube and how algorithms work and how all of that stuff worked at the time. And mind you now, YouTube was that girl and it's still that girl.
It still is.
Instagram and TikTok and all of that
stuff. All of that. It's the most reliable.
They know how to work the system for sure. And once you learn how to do that, I just knew that I had to consistently post. That's all I knew. And then one day I was like, I don't have nothing to post this week. I'm just gonna go dig into my little archive of videos and see if there's something I can just post. Like, up there. Girl, I posted like a 5 or 6 minute video of me doing a braidless crochet and it went viral.
Wait a minute. Vandy, I really think I seen your face on Amazon. Am I tripping?
Yes. Actually, somebody just messaged me this morning, and people send this to me all the time. They're using my images.
They are using your image because I was like, this looked like VLS hair. Because that was before we got acquainted at all. And I was like, this literally looks like...
all my photos are floating around Amazon.
They are.
And all kinds of stuff. And now with TikTok Shop, it's getting 10 times worse.
I'm telling you, I was like, she either have, I have definitely seen, what they call those twins? Oh, what are those twins called? When you don't know the other person that looks exactly like you on the other side of the world.
Oh, doppelgangers.
Yes.
Yeah.
I say either she has a doppelganger out here. I said, or this is VLS hair.
That's definitely me.
Because that's before I knew your name and everything.
Yep. I have family members from across the country who send me pictures, be like, hey,
I just saw
that. I was scrolling through Amazon today and I saw your picture and I was like, yep, that's me.
Yes, indeed. Because I was like, I don't think...
I told my husband I think my picture might be floating around in another country somewhere and I might be really famous and I don't know.
I'm serious because I seen that picture. I already seen it before I started following you on Instagram. And then I was like, dang, that face looks so familiar. And then one day I was on Amazon looking for something with hair and I was like, wait a minute, like what? I was like, maybe she has an Amazon shop. That's what I started thinking.
Yep, no, they didn't even have the Amazon influencer program back then. The only thing they had was like links that you could get. And before that part, you would have to set up a deal with the brand to make sure you got paid off of the brand.
So do you ever, contact them and say, hey, that's my image. Can you remove it? Do they remove it?
Most of the time they do, but if they don't, then you have to get legal.
Right, because it's like, I have a client that's happening to her right now. Like, girl, picture like from the early 2000s.
Girl, the one that the girl sent me this morning is for Walmart.com.
Knowing Walmart. Girl, y'all hear this? Walmart. World Vandy.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to get some legal action on that one.
And Walmart know better.
And the sad thing is that because our demographic is so still new to the whole content creation portion of it, and they don't understand how we get used.
Yep.
We get used and taken advantage of, and don't know how to negotiate our rates, and don't know how to negotiate our value. And because we're so desperate to get our face in front of something, we look right past that.
Yeah.
So it takes some time. It's going to take some time for us to like get on the same page.
That's
because
true.
Other folks have been making this type of money for a really long time.
Yeah, they have.
We're just now learning how to do it.
And that's that business part that's lacking. You know, just operating as a creator, or you know, just exchanging. You know,
and being collaborative.
Yeah, being
like
collaborative.
When you're working by yourself and solo all the time, you really shortchange yourself.
You do.
That's why I'm a big proponent of let's collaborate. Let's do something together. It's not about me pushing myself above you. It's about us working together so that we can both win. Yeah,
because I do feel like, you know, especially within the Black beauty industry, it's very competitive.
Super competitive. But it doesn't have to be that competitive. We could band together and make this our thing and own it. But because the world has pitted us against each other, it's so hard to stay in that lane together.
It's very true. Because like being here, you see a lot of white bridal hair companies. And these girls have over 60, you know, bridal hair makeup stylists. And it's nothing here. And I just can't help. Like, even I tried to start a bridal hair company. It just didn't work out. It was like, you know, people not understanding, like, we all have to work together. This is not a one-man show. One man may have started it, but in order for this to, like, really pick up, and in order for it to start moving, you have to be accountable for, like, you know, attending the bridal hair trainings or any type of work that we try to create outside of work, like going to, like, team building projects and stuff like that to just, you know, build relationships outside of it. But it's just, I don't know. It just didn't work out.
It's really difficult. But when you do find those collaborative relationships, hold on to them.
Yeah.
Hold on to them, because we're all stronger together.
That's true.
At the end of the day, when you're trying to do this all on your own, it will burn you out so fast.
And you have to like be extremely limited to all the hats that you wear, but then you can't be as proactive.
Yeah, and then if you're not sticking with your momentum and you lose your momentum, you lose opportunities and then it falls to the wayside. Trust me, I done been on those ups and downs.
Yes, and we all have. You know, and you learn and you grow and then you do better from, you know, you learn from your mistakes. You know, it's the best teacher.
And then you hope you can catch the next wave, and you keep praying for God to put the right people in your path.
The right people, that's it. You know, and I don't feel like that situation was like unfortunate. You know, I learned a lot.
It may not have just been the right time.
And the right time. And also just like the growing stages of adding people to the business. You know, that's what I mean. Like, I grew a lot from this situation. Like, you know, even understanding and reflecting on my own self. Like, well, what could I do more? You know, or like even like shifting my own approach into the business of bringing people along. You know, I was like, you know what, I could have done this a little different, and maybe it would have been a different outcome. Or sometimes some people are just not aligned, you know, for what's going on in that moment. Doesn't mean that's not the right people either. Just in those moments, it's just not y'all's alignment to work together right now.
Absolutely.
And you have to accept that and just move on.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. There have been plenty of people I've hired, and I'm like, you have it. You have the potential, but right now
it's not it.
It ain't it.
Yeah.
But back to how all of this got started, referrals came in.
Referrals from who? Like customers?
The clients I already had. And then the email strategy. And then because I started my YouTube channel, I was starting to build a larger audience and a larger following, and starting to establish myself as a, you know, not a guru, but somebody who was going along for the journey and had a clear understanding of how things work. And then also going back to the point that in Texas at the time when I decided to take this seriously, I went to TDLR and I got my braiding license.
Yeah, good for you.
I went to school. I did all of that stuff. But here's the thing. Literally 6 months after I got it, they deregulated it.
They banned it.
So I spent all that time, money, effort, and energy to get something I don't even need.
Because so did you get a braider's license?
I sure did. But I still stay on top of all of that. I sure did. They sent it right back to me in the mail with a check.
Oh, so they did pay you for your time?
No, they sent me. You know how you pay the fee to
like
get the license? They prorated me the fee. They said we don't want nothing else to do with it.
Oh my gosh! But what about tuition?
No, I couldn't get that back. Couldn't get none of that.
Do you feel like going to the braiding school and getting the education there? Do you feel like you still glad that you took that route, or you feel like, oh, it was completely unnecessary?
It was completely unnecessary. I actually ended up teaching a lot of the people who were there because we were just there.
You just needed a license. You already had.
That's how they treated us. Yeah. They treated us like stepchildren up in there because they were like, we got this whole other cosmetology thing going on over here. Y'all just here to get the hours.
Okay, so they had the school you went to had a cosmetology program, and then on the side there was a braider program. And so y'all were kind of overlooked and neglected while they more tended to cosmetology students. I'm not even surprised.
No.
It's sad.
And then there wasn't a lot to choose from either. There was nothing here in Austin. I ended up having to go to Houston. So I had to take off from work a couple of weeks to go to Houston to get the license and stay in a hotel and all that. So I had to pay for all that too.
You were so committed. And then for them to just ban and be like, oh, if you want to braid, you can braid.
Well, because the thing is that I didn't want to do mobile anymore and I didn't want to work from home anymore. I wanted to get in a salon suite or in a salon, or in order to get a booth rent at that time, you had to have a license.
Yep.
So I had to go through all those steps to do all those things. And then the minute I got on,
they just banned it.
They just banned it. And the funny thing is,
I didn't even know Texas. I thought it was still that you had to have a license to braid.
2015, they shut it down. But that was actually a good thing because it opened a lot of doors and opportunities for a lot of people who had talents and skills who didn't want to, like myself, go through a whole 1,500-hour course of learning how to do color, and I don't want to do color.
That's funny you say that because Melissa and I just did a podcast on this, and she actually brought that up. She was like, you know, the standardized cosmetology test, you know, in all these different states. She was like, for instance, like a braider. She was like, a braider. She was like, that's why a lot of them are braiding in their homes. She was like, because it's completely unnecessary for them to go to cosmetology school because no one there is going to teach them anything about braiding.
No.
She was like, so they spend that money, spend that time for absolutely nothing. It's like the whole cosmetology program needs to be revamped and updated because because in some states it's still legal that you have to get a license.
You have to get a full license to do it. But you also have to think about where the licensing requirement originates from.
Absolutely.
And how they're structuring the laws now. They know that we have these skills and these talents, but what they're doing is throwing up a whole bunch of red tape and saying, oh, well, you can't do this unless you give us some money.
Absolutely. What it's always about. She brought that up too. She's like, it's always about money.
It's always about money. There's some states where you could get a braider's license, but you can't wash hair. A lot of people don't know that.
Texas is like that. You cannot. You can wash hair and not license. When?
I think that they updated that in 2019 or 2021.
Girl, in 2022, I called these people and I asked them because I'm telling you, I called them.
They have it in writing on their website.
Girl, this lady told me in order because I was looking for an assistant. And she said, if your assistant is not licensed, you cannot allow her to shampoo hair, even bridal hair, because I was inquiring more about bridal hair. Because I was like, what are the limitations for a person that does not have a license? She said they cannot do bridal hair if they are not licensed.
Well, she don't.
Who was this? I don't know who this lady was, girl.
Because it's in writing on their website. They even have an FAQ for when they deregulated braiding, and it says specifically, like when you ask the question, "Can I do this or can I do that?" It'll say yes, no, yes,
TDLR. No. Y'all need to retrain your people because I didn't even go to the website. I called, and this was told to me. Okay.
Yeah, and actually there's quite a few deregulations happening still. Like even this year, I think they deregulated the instructors license.
Yeah, you don't even have to have an instructor. You have to be licensed. It's like a certain amount of, I think it's 2 years.
And then they're getting ready to deregulate the hair weaving one. So before you had to be the weaveologist.
No, they don't even.
Yeah, you don't even need that anymore.
So, is it going to be a license at all?
I understand that quite a few states are considering it. There's a lot of bills being passed
Why?
considering
Did they say
it.
why?
Because it's too much work. It's too much back end work for them to come in and try to figure out who's doing what wrong and who's doing what, doing what's right and all of that stuff. It's just too much work. There's too many. It's almost like the Wild Wild West. There's too many people out here having too much fun with it, and then with social media at this point, people don't care.
They don't.
They see is that style is cute. I want that done. Let's do it now. They don't care if the person is licensed or not.
You got some that do. I've listened to some voice that they do, but I've heard more that don't.
They be in them comments hollering hard. But at the same time, our hands were tied for so long, and thank God for Miss Isis here in Texas, because she was like, I've been braiding hair for years.
I remember that lady, girl.
She was the reason it got deregulated.
She went to court. They was trying to take her under.
Yes, ma'am. But guess what? When she did that, it opened up so many opportunities and doors for people who, one, couldn't afford to go to school or didn't have the time to go to school, because I did not have the time.
Yeah, you did not. But and then it's also too to imply these strict regulations, and you don't even have the accessibility is not even here. I had to go all the way to Houston,
exactly,
and get hotels.
Yes. we was right there together, girl. Right there.
Make it make sense.
It's all about the money. All about the money. And then too, what we do as a profession as braiders, it was not being taught anywhere. You would have had enough gall to like go to the Africans and be like, hey, can you show me what you do? Or, something without them laughing at you first.
Yeah, that's true, girl. No, for real. Absolutely.
But you'll notice that most of the successful ones in my field, in my age demographic, we all learn, trial and error from YouTube, from sending each other videos, learning along the way, trial and error for the most part. And that's why I started the braid school thing on YouTube, because it got to a point where I couldn't do YouTube for makeup and all this other stuff and do hair at the same time. So I said, well,
how do you choose though?
Choose what?
Because if you like the jack of all trades, if like you're a creative person, like how you just be like, well, I'm not going to do makeup. I'm just going to do
So
hair.
That's where we get into the specialty part.
Okay.
So when you out here not knowing what you want to do, which is a great thing about cosmetology school, which I think should still be a thing, you need to go in and learn how to do everything. Yeah. Learn how to do everything, and then once you start getting your hands on those things, your hands and your brain is going to start telling you, this is what you're good at. This is the thing that comes easy to you. This is the thing that you think about in your sleep. This is what's on your Explore page. And
what you don't dread doing. Yeah, because you've been searching it so much. You've been
looking at it. You've been studying it. You've been zooming in. You're like, this is my thing. This is the thing that I eat, breathe, and sleep doing. This is the thing that comes easy to me, and I know I can make money doing it. Yeah. So I was doing sew-ins, quick weaves, silk presses. I was doing natural hair. I was doing bridal stuff. I was doing everything I could get my hands into until I was like, okay, this is the thing that I like to do. This is the thing that I look forward to doing. Yeah. But if I had an appointment that came up and I'm like, I'm dreading this. I don't feel like this. I don't know if the client's going to like it. I don't have time for all of this. Then I knew that was something that I needed to just start. I was going to have to start cutting that. So I would still do them if it was requested. And even now, I'll still do them if it's requested, but only by certain clients.
Girl, because listen, the aura got to align if you're going to do something that you absolutely
we got to be on the same page, baby. We got to be on the same
because
page.
That's double the energy that I don't want to do.
I remember when I was first doing this, Senegalese twist was the thing.
It sure was.
Everybody wanted them.
That's all I had.
That's all everybody wanted. And I was like, this is going to kill my hands.
Because of the technique, right?
It's the technique. It's the technique, and you have to have more grip doing it because you're doing a twist, not a braid.
It's gonna unravel.
Exactly, and you got to know exactly.
Never been able to do it,
girl. You got to know exactly what you're doing, and then everybody's hair type is different, so they're not gonna look the same on everybody, and people are not gonna upkeep them the same. Some people will go 2 months with them, and some people can't make it 1 week. So it's like, what are we gonna do? But I'm like, I was dreading these appointments all the time. I'm like, I can't do this no more. It's got to come off the menu.
Did you have any people request it back?
Oh, they still request them all the time. For real? They'll go on the website and know it ain't there, and they'll be like, can you do these anyway?
Lord.
And I'm like, what size you want to do and how long? Because I'm not going to be here all day twisting up your hair.
Because don't it take longer too?
It take longer.
Yeah, I always feel like I sat
my
longer in
hands
those appointments than braiding appointments.
When I tell you, if I can do a whole set of knotless braids and my hands are fine, that's what I should be doing.
Absolutely, because it's going to take you out anyway medically if you don't switch it up, you know, so you're going to have to.
Exactly. So, yeah, it's like, when you learn to get into your specialty, when you start picking up the thing that you do best. It's like, I always compare us to being doctors.
Yes, indeed. Therapists,
they go to school to learn everything in the beginning. Then as they gain experience and they get better at what they do, then they start specializing.
That's true. They come out as a general doctor, and this thing, you know, they want to do, you know, cardiovascular surgeon, and
and then you start drilling down on the thing that you're the best at.
Yep.
And that's where the money is.
Yep.
Because if you want to go to somebody to get your hair braided, you want to go to the person that is best at that one thing.
Yeah.
You don't want to go to anybody who's just like, oh, I think I can do that.
Yeah. Or specializing in everything. Yes. Because you're not going to get the best if it's not a consistent, you know, specialty for this professional.
The products aren't, they haven't tried out every single product. They haven't tried out every single technique. You want the person who knows what's the best product for your hair type, your hair texture. Yep. You want the person who knows the best technique for your hair length, your hair texture, your density, all of that stuff. That makes a difference.
Yes, it does.
That's how I'm able to get the same result with any head.
Yeah. That's true. You have to consider those. You have to.
It's just like I said, a doctor. Every patient has different problems.
Yeah.
But that specialist knows how to tackle those different problems so that you can get the same result.
You have to be almost like, you know, like connected with the science of it all. I mean, because what they're doing is science. What we're doing is science. When we're talking about texture and density, you know, that's science at the end of the day.
It is.
So if you just stand on the surface, you are not going to achieve those results every time consistently. It's not going to happen. Exactly. Yeah, because you see that I have this one client, and she said she just moved here maybe a year ago, and she said no matter who does a braid, she has never come here. She was like, but they always slip. And I was like, but why? Your texture is, I don't get it. You know, like, you have to go to someone that, I'm not a braider, but I'm like, but there are people out here that know how to grip, tuck, whatever the case may be, in order to make sure that braid don't slip. And I said, and you have textured hair. I was like, so I don't know if you are just not booking the right person. But I referred her to you. And, you know, I was like, here's a list of people that, you know, I can recommend, you know, but, you know, I have a girl that come to you, and I said, and she's never had no issues with her, so maybe you should just check her out, you know. So, but she ended up letting her sister do it, and her braid slip there too. She was like, I just think it's my hair. I was like, it's not your hair. It's not your hair. I was like,
definitely not.
Yeah.
And then if it is an issue with your hair, that person, that specialist should be able to make an assessment and say, well, maybe this isn't the right style for you because your hair can't hold this style. Let's look at some other options.
Yeah.
Or if I don't have any other options, let me refer you to somebody who may have a better option for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
People appreciate you being transparent and honest.
Instead of pretending like you know what you're doing. Because then that's when you catch the backlash.
Because, you know, there's still a lot of, especially the new IG stylists, there's still a lot of them out here shopping around other people's photos.
And that was bad back in those Craigslist days.
It was really bad.
Oh, because they would, on Craigslist, they would really take your work. Because that's, you know, like...
That's when you had to learn how to watermark.
You did have to watermark, seriously. And you would see some people that would, you know, make their logo transparent and almost put it on the entire photo. So you could not even have any opportunity to try to steal their work.
But once you follow the right people and you've seen their work enough, you can almost immediately tell.
You know what their work.
That's not your work. Exactly. Like there's a couple of people I know in Houston and Dallas, and I've seen their work getting shopped around here, and I would immediately send it to them. I'm like, I know that's your picture.
Yeah, because it's like this aesthetic that they create. Y'all, my braces.
Yeah, like everybody has their own way of capturing their art.
They do.
They all have their own way of doing it, and you can tell who that artist is.
Sure can.
Nobody can replicate it.
Not at all. you know, because they're so intentional with that theme that they create that already, like, I know that's Viola's hair. You know, I'm telling
you. Even if it's not the same background, you can tell that I picked the same angle every time.
It's intentional. And that's why, you know, no, ma'am, you stole it. You stole it. And I just, you know, I'm really curious about the psychology behind people who steal it, because I'm like, you are brave to pretend like this is your work, knowing when this person come here, they're gonna know once the finish is complete, this ain't your work.
Yep. And then that was the thing back then, because that's how you got people in the door. But now the new thing is you got to pay a deposit.
That's
true.
So
they set it up in a way where you can't get that deposit back, and then they cancel on you last minute, and so they scamming. They don't care how many people they scam, because all they're gonna do is just change their name and do it again.
And see, and I do wonder if these are professionals, because I feel like they are scammers.
Good, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, because I remember one of my clients got scammed. I was already in Texas though. She's still in Virginia. She got scammed by this quote unquote hairstylist. Cashed out to the deposit and literally was a no-show. And so she was like, don't go to this hairstylist because, you know, she scammed me. And I said, but sometimes there are situations where they have been hacked. Yes, I said, because I can't tell you, when I was on Style Seat, so many people tried to hack my account.
Oh, it was Style Seat.
On Style Seat. Yeah. But now that I'm on my own private little website, I don't get any of that.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God that has never happened.
But I asked her what booking platform was, and she said Style Seat. I said, what probably happened was a scammer reached out to her via email and told her to log into her account because something is going wrong with her account.
And that's how they got
She logged in, stole her credentials, and that's probably how you ended up getting scammed. Yep. And then it looks like the professional scammed you.
Yeah. That's it. That's why shopping around for the right system that works for you makes a huge difference. When we're talking about the system that I'm still using, they've always had 2-factor authentication. Yes. They've always had it. Even when the girls log in, they have to log in, they have to get a code from their phone and all that stuff. So if somebody's in my system, I'm gonna know about it.
You sure are, because it's gonna alert you. And Style Seat definitely didn't have.
They didn't have none of that.
I was say, girl, it was just.
I tried it for a hot minute, and I was like, "This ain't
it." I let it go. I had it for at least 4 years, and what constantly drove me away was just not having enough character spacing for you know, the description of the service. Because I'm like, look, we just can't put cut and style, and it's just cut and style. Like, we have to write down the description. Like, okay, this is not just a cut and style. Like, you have to be so specific in the Black culture when it comes to hair. Because if you don't, they're gonna email you and say, well, what does this entail? Like, does this come with a shampoo?
And then it defeats the purpose of having a booking site, because now you have to stop and answer questions. What's the point?
And that booking site is to literally be your receptionist.
Basically.
Yeah. So
basically. Let me tell you, I'm looking into this AI stuff, because now they have a new AI answering service for like your phone line now.
I didn't know that. AI about to like take over. You like,
baby, because it's hard. Not only is it hard to find good help, it's hard to keep good help.
It's hard.
So if you can find a way to automate it, because not only does it save you time, it saves you money as well.
That's true. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, but AI is a game changer for a lot, you know, especially for anybody, but specifically staying within the beauty industry, because it's like, even content creating, you know, it's a lot of work whenever you have to create the content, you know, find the right caption that aligns with what you're speaking of. And then you have to speak it in a way where it can appeal to many different listeners, because sometimes it's like, okay, the way I deliver that, the tone may not really bring some clarity to whoever is reading it. Girl, it's a lot.
It's a lot that goes into it. We wear a lot of different hats. And like we were talking about earlier, not everybody's meant to be a content creator.
That's true.
Some people just want to do the job.
Yeah.
But because of the nature of the business, you have to learn how to put yourself out there. So it's like, people won't know what you do unless you put it out there.
That's true.
And that's just marketing in itself. And when you're in this business, and I don't know if there are cosmetology schools including this in their curriculum or not, but there needs to be at least 30% of the curriculum dedicated to business.
And it's
and
not
how to market yourself.
It's not business on any type of level. I think the most exposure I had to learning salon business was consulting. You know, and that's still, I mean, it's not being a creator. I mean, it's just, you know, communicating with a client so you have a clear understanding. But that was pretty much it. But they didn't talk about business financials or any of that stuff.
And that's how you keep your business running.
Yeah.
So even at the end of the year, I'll have a meeting with the team and I'll go over stats. Again, I'm an accounting major.
That's why
I have an accounting background. So I go over stats and I go over, okay, these are the services that people are requesting the most often.
Yep.
These are the services that people don't like so much. These are the services that are getting the highest tips on, you know, stuff like that. Like I go through all those things because if you don't go through those data points and those stats, you don't know how you're actually performing, and you don't know how you can learn and grow from those things. And I attribute that a lot of my success to that, because even when I was considering leaving my home, because I really didn't want to leave my home. The only reason I left my home was because of COVID and everybody was at the house and it was just too much.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, risky too.
It was risky too. Yeah, but instead of going to a salon suite, I decided to open an actual salon because one, I knew that the trajectory of my business included teaching and fostering growth, because I knew I wasn't going to be doing this forever. And I needed people under me who are willing to learn what I know. But if I'm doing this in a salon suite on my own, solo dolo, I still can't service the amount of clients that I have, or the clients who are requesting me, because I only have so many hours in the day and I only have two hands.
And you only one person.
And I'm only one person. So what I did to track the growth of it was my wait list. So I was the only person in the area at the time who was maintaining the wait list. Okay. And a lot of times I could get most people on the wait list if I could get extra hands and extra help to come in and help me. Okay. But if I couldn't get people in, I would still open the wait list every month just to see what the demand was. If the demand was high and it continued to stay high, that was my indicator that I needed to grow. I need to grow. I need to grow, and I need to have so many chairs and so many hands on deck to service the demand. So that's business 101, you guys.
Yes, indeed. Get it.
So I've always maintained that. And then once I opened up and the wait list started to dwindle, I was like, okay, I'm starting to meet the supply and demand market part here. Yes. But it also works as a good indicator too in slow seasons. So, for example, a lot of people, not just in our industry, is experiencing a slow season. Absolutely. And you have to be on top of, why is the economy doing this right now? You got to remember, everybody was struggling. Inflation was going up super high at a high rate, starting at the beginning of the year. And people were starting to complain. And shoot, our groceries are just as high as yours. I know. Our groceries are just as high as yours. But when the market started to take a dip, especially right around the early September mark. Yes. And I started putting my ear to the ground, and I noticed people were putting out their posts about how they need to go back to their 9 to 5 because people ain't booking anymore. Okay, so now the OGs get back in the game. Yeah. Because we understand, one, grassroots marketing. Yeah. We understand that social media ain't everything. No. We have our client list. We have our email list. We have our loyalty programs. We have all of those things that set us up for success for the long haul and not the short term. Yeah, that's right. You also have to look at the economy. We have a whole bunch of wars going on, so a lot of money is being funneled out. That's right. You also have to look at the fact that student loans came due last month. Did. Yeah. A lot of people's pockets were
September, October, like around that time. Yes. Yep, it did.
So people's budgets were changing. Yep. At that same time.
Sure was.
At the same time. So guess who's finally starting to feel the effects of it? The beauty industry.
Absolutely.
Because beauty and self-care and personal care was always high on the budget list. Yep. But when other things start eating into that budget, it gets lower on the totem pole.
Like, I don't really need my hair done that bad this month.
It gets lower on the totem pole. So, a lot of people were shaking in their boots. Like, wait a minute, we're not getting bookings. Like, what's happening? Like, it was popping at one point. You also got to remember, people was getting stimulus checks. They was getting unemployment. Now they got to go back to work.
Illegal PPP laws.
That part. So yeah, it's not. We don't live in a silo in the beauty industry. Like everything that happens around us affects us.
It affects us.
It affects us, and you have to be thinking about that proactively and preparing for those down seasons.
You sure do.
For example, right now they're talking about we might have another pandemic. Yeah. These wars might have a huge effect on us. Yep. In the coming months. Texas might have another ice storm.
Yeah, February.
What you think is gonna happen? February. It's gonna shut us all down. Yeah. Do you have your rainy day fund ready to go?
The business financials. You have to know the financials of your business in order to know that you're gonna survive.
Exactly. And not everybody has the same setup that I do. A lot of people are in salon suites. A lot of people are still working at home. But guess what? These bills still gotta get paid. Kids still need to eat. These car notes still need to get paid. I mean, we all still have to live. But
support our livelihood.
Exactly. So that's why I always go back to your client is your best salesperson. Yeah. That's how you stay in this business. Yeah. Social media ain't nothing.
It's really not reliable. It crashes. I mean, it don't crash often.
And then we were just talking about how reach is going down for everybody. Everybody. If you got your ear to the road about that, right now Instagram is pushing out a whole lot of updates. They're pushing out a whole lot of changes. There's a lot of shifts.
Talk about the Facebook one.
Yes, there's a lot of shifts going to Facebook. Facebook is incentivizing creators right now. So if you're not seeing a lot of reach on your Instagram profile, you need to start reposting those things on Facebook and watch. You get a lot of traction. Yeah. So you just gotta have your ear to those type of things. Like on my For You page, it's not all about hair. Most of it is about business, financials, investing, all of that stuff. Instagram, marketing, coaches, creators.
Because you have the creation part in the bag. What you have to keep, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't, continue to educate yourself practically, but if you don't have the business financials part in the bag. It doesn't matter how great of a creator you are.
Exactly. And technology moves so fast and it's getting faster.
Yeah. And so you have to be up to date.
If you're not on top of it, you will fall behind. And and part of the problem too is that it's a lot of vanity metrics in place. Yes. And people can't see past that part. They don't see the long term or the long growth in it. And it's like, y'all, I got 60-something thousand followers on our Instagram page, and some of these posts got 10 likes. Yeah. That don't mean nothing. Yeah. That has nothing to do with you. That has everything to do with the algorithm. Yeah. Just keep posting. Yeah. Just keep posting, because this is not the first time it has happened. It happens all the time.
Well, I think the first time, it was like 2014, 15, where they started removing all the bots and spam accounts. And your following went from girl, it dropped to like a couple thousand down. Yes. I was like, my goodness.
And that happened right around COVID time too. Everybody, they were going in and doing a sweep and they were cleaning everything up. And you're like, wait a minute, where are all my followers? Right. Those are ghost followers. Yeah, they're just trying to clean up the system.
Yeah. And you don't want that anyway, because it's not organic reach. It's not about the numbers. It's about being able, being able to have organic people really engage with your engagement on your platform, so that you can draw in the clientele.
You don't want, and with the type of business that you don't want a whole bunch of vanity followers, because those are not converting into dollars. You want the followers who are actually going to click on your link and actually book and sit in your chair and pay you. And those are the ones who are local.
That's true. That's right.
Those are the ones who are local. And, out of 1,000 people in your local area, only 10 of those people might actually need that service. Yeah. So don't let vanity metrics get you discouraged.
And see, Instagram started like that, though. It did. And that's why it's so hard for people to, I feel like when you post something on Facebook, if you don't get the reach, it's not as daunting. But whenever you post it on Instagram, you don't get the reach, because back in the day, when it first started, girl, you could post a picture and you get like 200 likes in 5 minutes, and I think they set the foundation psychologically like that. So when it doesn't happen, it's like, oh my gosh, did they not like the content?
Yeah.
What am I doing wrong?
On top of that, they also are constantly changing the algorithm. And before, the algorithm prioritized certain things like that. So if they prioritize that, it incentivizes you to use the platform more.
Yeah.
But now everything is so saturated, and they're trying to get all the spam people out and get all of this other stuff out. And then they're also trying to compete with these other platforms instead of staying in their lane. It makes it complicated for everybody. And it's like TikTok,
that's probably their number one problem right there, trying to keep up.
Right. Yeah. Because now what we were talking about earlier, you notice that a lot of reels are not getting pushed out because they're prioritizing carousel posts. Yeah. And that's why when you post a carousel post, you can now put a video in there. Yeah. And the video pops up as a reel. Exactly. So like it's hard to keep up with Instagram algorithm, but YouTube and TikTok, they are pretty consistent with their algorithm. As aside from TikTok and the TikTok shop and all that stuff right now, they're pretty consistent with how you market to your audience. And just keep in mind that every social platform has a different audience because their algorithm pushes it out differently.
Yeah, that's right.
So let's go back. Let's just take it all the way back to when deposits weren't even a thing. Does anybody remember that? You remember that?
Oh, I absolutely do.
So I remember way back in the day, it wasn't even a thing because there was a mutual understanding between client and stylist. How you book your appointment, you show up, you get your service, and you leave, and you pay. Well, times started to change, especially when a lot of us stylists were working regular jobs. And doing hair was actually more of a side hustle. We were doing it, in the evening times and on the weekends. And we were having to change our schedules and adjust our days around our clients' time.
Yes.
So if I'm working my 9 to 5 and I'm rushing home to get home by 6 o'clock to meet my client, and they don't show.
Yes, ma'am.
Again, if they don't show, I have nothing to show for that. And that client does not care that I have nothing to show for that.
Not at all. They don't care about whatever happened with them in those moments. Absolutely,
Back in the day, like when I was working my jobs and I was going to school, and mind you now, I have kids, I have a husband, I still have a life, and I still have family. And I rushing home in rush hour traffic to get to your 6 p.m. appointment and you do not show, that is incredibly inconvenient and disrespectful of my time. And so I was that stylist back in the day where I was like, I don't need to charge you a deposit because, I know you're a good client. You're good for it. But when the cancellations kept happening last minute and people were no-showing all the time, it was becoming a huge inconvenience. So the minute I started implementing deposits, the whole game changed for me. Never got a cancellation after that. Why? Because deposits hold us accountable. It holds you and your client accountable. It's just like if you were to start a contract with a builder, or if you start a contract with a plumber, or anybody who's doing any kind of contract labor with you, normally they ask for a deposit because the deposit, one, covers time. It blocks off that time for you to have that exclusive time with that contractor. It also covers the cost of supplies. It covers the cost of where the service is being handled. So these lights ain't cheap.
It covers the time.
Exactly. The lights ain't cheap. The space ain't cheap. All of this costs money. So when y'all don't show or you don't pay for your service, then it comes out of our pocket. We're not really making any money off of this. So it holds me accountable to make sure that I show up for your service, and it holds you accountable to make sure that you show up on time and show up for the service. Now, the problem that we have now with the battle between the IG stylists and the real stylists, and I say real stylists because the real stylists take their job seriously.
Absolutely. And it's a real thing.
But the IG stylists, they don't have this business mindset. They don't take their clients' time into consideration. They don't do any of that. And so
we get mixed in that realm of the unprofessionals versus the professionals.
Exactly. And then so we're waging a war that we shouldn't be waging because we got too many bad apples in the pot. And one way you guys can counteract that is to know what you're getting yourself into. So for example, red flags. red flags. If they require cash app deposit,
OMG,
you can't get that back.
Nope.
If they require cash on demand when you show up for your appointment, you can't get that back.
Nope.
So even if they put up a fake picture on that Facebook post,
yep,
and you show up to get them braids and they don't look like that picture, guess what? You're not getting your money back.
Nope, not at all.
The scammers, and then this introduces the scammers.
Mm-hmm.
If they're asking for astronomical amounts, if they're asking for the full amount of the appointment up front,
I don't know how anyone feels secure moving forward paying the full amount.
I've seen so many videos of people paying the full amount up front, and then they go on TikTok and they're like, wait a minute, well, so-and-so didn't show up for the X, Y, and Z. Well, and man, you shouldn't have paid the full amount.
You shouldn't have paid the full amount. That's a red flag right there. Like, don't pay for a service that you have not received.
Girl, anything that is above 20% of the asking price of the full amount is a red flag to me. If it's not a traceable transaction, that's a red flag to me. That means that person is not operating legitimately. You know, like you said, your deposits are what, between $75 and $100. It's understandable because you have a legitimate backing. You are able to provide referrals. People can see that your website is legit. They can contact you and they can get responses back. But if I'm having to go back and forth with somebody in a text message about a deposit,
red flag.
I just don't understand. And then too, even if you are an IG stylist and you didn't do the traditional background and all that, and you are good at what you do and you need business advice, here is one key tip. You are not supposed to keep that deposit. If you cancel on your client, you are not supposed to keep your deposit.
It ain't your deposit.
It's not yours to keep. And second, the deposit should be going towards the cost of the final balance.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. Okay, so
I don't understand.
It's like, okay, so the ones that require deposit, but it doesn't go towards the final balance, what is the reason behind it? I'm very curious about that because it's a few stylists that do that.
Again, I have an accounting background, so I view the world a little bit differently, but I think that has a lot to do with the fact that they just don't understand math.
Because what is that deposit for? Like, if you're not gonna place it
it's not a deposit, it's actually a payment.
It's not a deposit because deposits always goes towards balance.
Exactly.
So what should they be calling it?
You should be calling it a payment towards the cost of supplies or a product or something that you are actually receiving. You have to be receiving something for the amount of money that I paid you. But if I'm not receiving anything,
I don't get that.
How does this work?
I don't.
How does it work?
It's now that one I've seen a few times where they pay a reserve deposit for that time slot that don't goes nowhere.
And if you don't understand math, just if you're like, for example, if your service is $200 and you want a deposit of $25, then that means their balance should be $175 when they show up. Now, if you really are trying to charge $225 for the service, then just say the service is $225. Why does the two have to be separated? You know? So key thing is, if everything is cash, that person is probably not operating legitimately. Taxes. That's a whole nother podcast in itself, y'all. Whole nother podcast.
Oh God,
I could talk about that for days.
Oh my goodness.
But you know, I get it. A lot of people don't trust the government. That's fine. But guess
That's true too.
But guess what? If you want a stimulus check,
Social Security,
you
better start filing.
You still have to file your taxes to do that.
You and me.
So,
oh gosh.
Moving on.
Seriously though. Seriously.
Moving on. You are not supposed to keep that deposit. Yes, we understand. We are both people in this situation. You're having a transaction or relationship between one person and another person. Things happen.
Yeah.
There have been times where I did not feel like coming to work but I'm not going to cancel your appointment. I'm still going to show up.
That's right.
And I may not be feeling good for whatever reason. I may not be 100%. That's fine. But I'm not going to cancel your appointment, because guess what? If I cancel your appointment, the good business person in me is going to want to make sure that I can reschedule you.
Yes.
Guess what? If you're a good stylist and you booked all the time, when am I going to find time to reschedule you?
That's true too.
Then two, we have this horrible situation where people love to book their appointments right before a major event. Okay. Like, can y'all just stop doing that? Just stop booking, please. Please, for the love of God.
You have
Stop booking your appointments the day before your flight.
Yep.
The day of your flight.
Yes.
Stop booking your appointments the day before your wedding.
That's risky.
The day before your due date, your C-section date. Stop doing that. Because what y'all want to do is to do that. Then something happens on our end. We can't fulfill the obligation. We did everything that we're supposed to do. Yep. Now you mad. Yeah. Because now you got to find somebody to do your hair last minute.
Yep.
Now, don't get me wrong. If you need somebody to do your hair last minute, we got you. We can figure that out over here.
Yeah.
But most people
don't. Because you have multiple stylists in your salon. Exactly. But most people are operating solo.
But most people don't have the means to do that.
Yeah.
So you can't get mad at the stylist and then go on TikTok and post a rant about it. And you don't know what the situation is. Yeah. I actually, myself personally, I booked with a stylist a couple of years ago, and she canceled on me the day before. Turns out her daddy died. I didn't know that, but I understood as a stylist that things happen. So it didn't bother me. She sent me my deposit back. It's all good.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that her daddy died until a couple of days later.
Yeah.
What if I had went on a rant on TikTok about how my stylist canceled on me last minute, and I got to be on my cruise,
without
my booze
my
cruise,
hair done.
without my hair done.
And it's like, if you're getting braids, you can book that in advance. You don't have to book that a day or 2 days before. You can book
it's
that.
Okay if you book it a week out in advance.
Sure
they still gonna look fresh, boo. I mean, unless you got a problem with put your bonnet on and laying your edges down, like they still gonna look fresh a week out.
You good. You are good to go.
You good, but you can't wait till the last minute to do things and to get mad when somebody can't squeeze you in or can't do for you. Because people fail to realize that we're people too.
We're people. And this is our lives outside of being behind that chair.
Yes, this is not this may be our passion. This may be the thing that we love to do, but this is not our livelihood.
Yeah,
this is our livelihood. It's not our lives.
That's right.
This is the thing that we're good at. This is the thing that we can do very well. And it just so happens that the Lord gave us this gift so that we can make money off of it to support our lives and support our families so that we can go live our lives. But this is not our lives. This is what we do to make money.
That's right.
That doesn't dissociate us from being cordial with you, being kind with you, and catering to your needs.
Yes.
But some days we just want to come in and work. We don't want to kumbaya and hold your hand and hear about all your baby daddy issues. We don't feel like that today. Some days we having horrible menstrual cramps, and there's nothing we can do about that.
Yeah.
But it's better for us to come in and provide you this service today because we don't have time to reschedule you for another time.
Yeah, and not to mention too, like if I'm able to show up, I may not show up with the energy that you're expecting, but if I'm able to show up and provide you the, the safe space, also provide you for you to get your hair done, the style that you requested, we would prefer or ask for you to cut us some slack if we're not being our usual selves, because, we go through stuff, and some days do require us to be a little bit more quiet and a little bit more to ourselves, and reserve some of that energy for whatever it is that is troubling or bothering us. And that's okay. That doesn't mean like, oh, my stylist acting funny. Oh, she don't want me here. It's none of that. Like, give us an opportunity to be human, because that's how I kind of feel sometimes. It's like we just don't have the opportunity to be a human being. Like the demands and the requests, and some are outrageous.
Yes.
Yes. Some are outrageous. And And also with the demand and the request, you don't want to reciprocate what that demand and request come with.
And that's why I'm always baffled when people post like their text threads with
like
going back and forth with a client.
Professional posting.
Yeah, like a client will reach out and be like, "Oh, I want X, Y, and Z," and then you'll see like the back and forth, like, "Well, I can't do this and I can't do that," and or I don't like your tone, and blah blah. First of all, why are we going back and forth? And I don't know you from a can of paint.
I'm not going back and forth.
I don't know you. And if all of the things we put on that booking site is not to your liking, and you still want us to jump through hoops and do things that we're not comfortable with, why am I going back and forth with you in these texts? If I don't respond to you, that means I've done everything that I can to answer whatever desire or need that you want. And that's another problem with social media. It's the expectations. Just because I post great pictures or I post great videos or everybody says that they love coming to me does not mean we are going to be a good fit.
Not at all. I'm a good fit for them.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's still always a trial and error situation. It's like going to a nail salon. You're not always going to get the best nail tech. You're not always your nail tech might not be available, and you need your nails done today. What you gonna do?
What you gonna
do? It may take you a while to find the right lash girl. It took me a while to find the right lash girl because we had to have a conversation, a dialogue to figure out what it is that I was really going with and what I wanted to do. In this job that we do as braiders, it's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
I feel like it is cut and dry. Like you gonna get these braids or not, and we're not gonna sit here for 7 hours for you to get up at the end of 7 hours and be like, I don't like it.
Yeah.
Did you not know what you were booking? And so that goes back to the whole proactive communication part. That's why I make sure that I go over everything before we get started. Now, if you're a returning client, then you already know the drill.
You already know the drill. No point of reiterating. We're just catching up. Yep.
You're always going to get friendly service. You're always going to get the service that you expect. But some days we just don't have it in us to talk about all these therapeutic issues or this healing that you need to do.
And it's also because the appointments are so long. You know, you have to think about that too. Like there should be some time reserved for some quiet time, you know, just to recharge, you know. And I don't think, you know, most clients understand like, okay, after you have someone else, I have to, you know, also show up for, you know what I'm saying?
And then we may have back-to-back clients, or maybe that first client that came in that day, they were a little bit more work than we expected. And so that runs into our lunchtime, and maybe by the last client, we cranky because we ain't eat today.
You say cranky.
We didn't get our lunch break.
and see, for a braider, I feel like it's so meticulous, like all the way down to the parting and the right sizing, the amount of rows. Like it's a lot of meticulous work, you know. Unlike for me as a cosmetologist, mostly, you know, when I'm doing silk presses, natural curls, flexi rise, you know, my appointments are always, you know, I have if they're not getting a sew in, I don't have long appointments. So for y'all, I can see y'all getting a little worked up. It's at the end of the day. But for me, it's like I have time to kind of reserve some more of my energy so that, you know, because it's way different for y'all. You know?
And that's why I feel bad sometimes by the last client. They'll come in and they'll be like so happy and cheery, and they're like, they text me 4 days ahead of time. I'm so excited about my appointment. And I'm like,
girl.
They're like, how are you today? And I'm like, baby, I'm alive.
Baby, I'm present.
I'm here. Just be happy I'm here.
Practically, I'm present, but up here, baby, I want to go home.
Because I walked into an appointment for myself, and they're like, you know what? I can't do this today. I need to go home.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I kind of needed this appointment today because I'm booked the rest of the week, you know. But I understand it. I understand it. It's like, okay, well, if you're willing to reschedule me, that's fine.
Yeah.
So that's why we said, don't book at the last minute, y'all. Don't book other things after your appointment.
Yeah. That's another thing, too, because you just never know what's going to happen within the day.
Know.
So because I know a lot of the times some girls will book me for a service and then it's like, I'm going to get my lashes done after this, or I have a wax appointment after this. And then I'm like, well, what time is the wax appointment? What time is the lash appointment? Oh, it's like in an hour. And I'm like,
Or sometimes normally their appointment lasts for 3 hours, but they forgot to tell you that they went and got a Dora the Explorer blunt chop.
Girl, what is that?
Like cut.
Oh, a blunt cut, and then you got to work hard tucking those in, so it's gonna take you a whole nother hour.
And they forget to tell you that.
And so they're under this impression like, oh, I'm gonna get out in 3 hours, and you're not, because I got extra work to do. Like, you just never know. And that's why it's very, not saying like block your entire day out, but at least give yourself 3 hours.
A couple hours, especially when it comes to hair. Like, you never know. Like, I don't know how color jobs work, but I know my sister-in-law, she does color jobs, and she says sometimes she might think her appointment's 3 hours and it turns into 6 because she got to do corrections, or she got to do an extra cut, or she got to do some extra trims. Like, sometimes you never know what's coming through that door.
You never know what's coming through
and that's why we love our loyal clients.
Because they know.
Yes, they know the drill, and it makes our days go by a lot smoother most of the time.
And see, even with that, coming properly detangled, that's also another reason why that is, like most stylists are requesting it. Like, because it's like, if you don't, the service that you book, it's only, the time allotted is just to go straight into doing your hair. It's not a service reserved for detangling. So I feel like it's so much misunderstanding out here in the Black beauty industry, where it's like, oh, I got to do this and do this. I'm finishing my whole hair before you even get to it. And it's like, no, because years ago, you didn't have to, arrive tangle free because you had relaxers. But we're in a different world now, which is going to require different things.
90% of my clients are natural. And they are full natural.
Yeah, like they have a lot of hair. And then it's like, because they, I've heard some people say, well, why don't you add a service on the menu that says detangling service? But everyone's detangling service is so unique and organic.
Very different. Or they'll come in with straight hair and be like, I need detangling. And I'm like, you don't need
a detangle.
Now we done blocked off a whole hour that I could have been using for somebody else.
So it's like, it's really hard to appeal to that. It's like a double-edged sword. Like, what do you do?
In times, and the economy just doesn't allow for that. Like, we have to be very efficient with our time so that we're making our money in an efficient way as well.
Especially in the economy right now.
Yeah, but so, it's okay that you go to the braider who is charging like $100 for 6-7 hours, almost 8 hours.
Oof.
But they're shortchanging themselves by working for $5 an hour.
You might as well just flip a burger at that point.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you can go to Chick-fil-A and make $20 an hour, boo.
I was like, you'll actually make more money just... Girl, you ain't got to worry about.
I think the Burger King up the street was paying like $17 an hour.
You might as well.
I'm not above that. I'm not above that. I know how to make some money. If I have to.
What you said, Brandy? I'm not above that. No, seriously.
My piece is always going to come above money.
Yeah, because honey, peace of mind is priceless. Okay.
I think that's why a lot of people be side-eyeing me, because I'm like, I will cancel your appointment in a heartbeat, and I will stay home in my bed before I have to deal with whatever headache you about to bring me.
Yeah, and it's also because there's so much time invested in the appointment. That's a lot of time for someone to be sitting around and the energies are not aligning.
And then when you get those red flags and you don't listen to them, it ends up being more time and effort than it's worth, because then they end up having to come back. You have to do fixes. You have to do repairs. They start complaining. They texting you at odd hours of the day and weekends. And it's like, okay, now you're just requesting more of me for less money. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want my time, you're going to have to start paying for it.
Absolutely. No, seriously, because this time can be reserved with someone behind the chair. And you would be getting paid for that time.
And we could have gotten this all knocked out in the time that it was allotted.
Yeah.
If we were all on the same page ahead of time.
Yeah.
I've even had asked people to leave in the middle of a service.
You did? I ain't never heard it. Girl, shut up.
Because we were talking about red flags earlier. If you come in and sit in my chair and you ask me questions about stuff that's already on the booking page, like stuff you had to bypass to get to the actual booking. Well,
and see, you spend so much time with clients, so.
In this particular situation, this client booked And she booked based off a referral from some girl she saw in the grocery store. She don't even remember who it was. She came in, was asking all these questions about the length, the density, what kind of part she was getting. And I'm like, well, you had to select all those things in the booking. We had to go through all of that. So she was already rubbing me the wrong way at that point, because I'm like, I already prepped for this. We are not going to start this over. And so if you want to change
because
all
she
of
already
this,
selected all of that.
already selected all of that, but then you're going to tell me you don't know what you booked? Okay, red flag number 2. Then now all of a sudden, well, I don't think that this is as long as I think it should be.
This was after,
but
like, after you already started?
Yeah, already started. So I had already started the first 2 rows, already made her stand up because I already felt it in my heart. I'm like, okay, let me do all my checks.
Ain't it crazy how you have so many experiences with them? You can already detect what's gonna happen.
The Lord has blessed me with the gift of discernment.
You already know. Because they kind of all have the same characteristics. They do.
It's just I pick up on those little small details, and it's like, okay, well, we already just talked about this, so why are we going around this circle again? So she's standing up, checking links and all kinds of stuff. Well, can we do it this and can we do it that?
After you've already done it?
First of all, if you want me to go shorter, I'm going to have to go back and fix the first 6 braids I already did. So that's more time.
Yeah.
You already knew what you was getting into, but clearly you didn't. And then halfway through, well, I think you're doing it a little too tight right here. Okay, I said, okay, well, no, I don't feel comfortable with this, because I already know by the time we get done with this appointment, you pay for it, you're going to send me a text message.
She sure is. She going to follow up talking about she's not happy.
I said, no. I said, look, at this point, I don't feel comfortable. Clearly, you don't know what you've gotten yourself into. You can have your deposit back. There's the door. I wasn't trying to be difficult. Well, you may not have been trying to do so, but this ain't gonna work.
I'm not a little combative.
I'm not gonna spend the next 3-4 hours with you in this chair feeling uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's too much time.
And knowing that it's going to probably take more time on the back end fixing something that was unrealistic to you in the first place.
Yeah. Because I'm telling you, some things, it's like, it's not a hair finish situation. It has nothing to do with the hair appointment.
Some people, nothing to do with it. I've had some clients come in and they're like, I came to you because I really adore you on YouTube, but only saw 3 YouTube videos. So you don't really know what you're really getting yourself into, because they're like, quote unquote, starstruck, I guess. And I'm like, okay, so you're just here to get a picture with me? I was at my house one time and a lady came all the way from, it was like past San Antonio, I think. She came all the way from past San Antonio. And when she came in, she was in my house, like camera, all kinds of stuff. Like, oh my God.
Was she a content creator?
No. But she was
so
not.
This was before you moved into
the salon? This was before I was at the salon. And even my husband was like, what's going on? She wanted to get a picture with me. She wanted to get a picture with my assistant. She wanted to get a picture with the mannequin that I feature in my videos. What? Yes, it was so weird. But I didn't make her feel uncomfortable about it. I just realized that that's why she was there for it. But I don't think... No, blocked.
Did you braid her hair? Did you do her hair?
Mm-hmm.
How was it, the appointment?
Oh, no. This lady I was doing, I did her hair.
How was it?
I just remember she was waiting for a little bit because we had a difficult situation before that. But no, she was happy about the whole situation and everything. But she was just a little extra excitement, and it was like you're more bought into the persona than you are the actual service. And it's like, that was the time when I realized that my persona and what I actually do for people are 2 different things.
2 different things, yeah.
So at that point, that's when I realized that I needed to start separating the 2.
Yeah.
Because it was starting to get a little scary, especially when this lady was in my house.
Yeah, and she know where you live. She got your address now.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can understand you feeling uncomfortable because it's like, you film in my home?
Yeah. But when people ask questions and they're not sure about what they're doing, I immediately go straight to my Instagram, or I'll go to like my actual pictures and I'm like, can you tell me what you're trying to do? Because I'm not going to try to recreate something out of thin air if you can't tell me what's in your mind.
Yeah.
That's happened to me before too.
Yeah. The longer you stay in the industry, it's going to happen.
Exactly. Yeah. So I need you to pick something out of what I can show you what I'm already able to do. And then we can meet somewhere in the middle. In the middle, yeah. Because I'm not going to try to recreate some braiders inspiration from Virginia Beach from 10 years ago. And I don't know what she did.
Not at all.
That's impossible. Yeah. It's unrealistic.
It's not realistic. And I think too, like social media is definitely responsible for a lot of these unrealistic expectations. You know, I'm like, y'all have to understand certain angles are hit a certain way. You know, I've seen people lift the hair up to give it, you know, more volume than what it really is.
It's all about the presentation.
It is.
It's all about the presentation. I've even like ordered cakes from people, and the cake don't look like the picture.
Yeah, that's right.
But if it looks somewhere close to it, like I understand realistic expectations. Now the big issue is filters.
Oh yeah,
I notice everybody's using filters, and I'm like, that's why our parts look clean because there's a brightening filter on that. I learned years ago, studying under a photographer, how to get the parting and the skin to look a lot clearer in certain photos, just based off of a certain setting. But I refuse to use filters.
Yeah,
I refuse
because it's gonna set you up. I'm telling you.
Because I'd be doggone if you come in here and be like, oh, I wanted to look like this, and I'm like, first of all, you don't look nothing like this person. Second of all, that's a filter.
Yeah.
Third of all, that's crochet. Like,
and it's important that you consult out of that
you're
picture.
Not sure, it's never a bad thing to ask. What's the worst that's gonna happen? They're gonna say no, and it's just gonna steer you in the right direction.
Right. And what steers you in the wrong direction is being persistent with the person who already done told you it's not gonna happen.
The way I used to tussle with people, girl, I can't do it. Yeah. And I still even see some of the new girls tussling with people.
Your salon. Yeah.
And I'm like, if at any point you feel uncomfortable, you just let me know. And they'll do their best to not let me intervene because I will cut that off. I will cut that off. But I understand you don't want to lose the client and you don't want to use the income that comes with that client. But what's more important?
Peace of mind.
Exactly. Because you don't want to go home stressed out about that $200 that you make that you really feel like you should have made $300-400 on, and that client is still stressing you out. Exactly. Then you mad at yourself. For shortchanging yourself.
I remember my tattoo artist said, prices may increase depending on your attitude. It was a whole sign. And then when you get into this industry for real, you understand where that is coming from, because it's like some of y'all energy costs more than the service. Girl, and then you get done with that appointment, you're like, ooh.
It's like, and then you asking all the questions that you should have asked before this started, and now the appointment is running over.
Yeah.
And now I'm getting irritated. Now the person who's waiting behind you is getting irritated, and then the person who's waiting behind you is blaming the stylist for it. Like it's a trickle and domino effect when you don't understand what you're getting yourself into.
So how do you like encourage like braiders to, like, whenever, you know, a situation like that happen where the client is running late or not running late, but the consultation is taking longer than you expected it to take because they probably did not read or just look at what they booked for? Like, how do you, with your braiders, how do you keep them on time and on schedule so that they're not running behind?
Well, one, we work as a team.
Okay.
So if somebody's falling behind, I'm hopping in to help if I can. If not, then I'm asking somebody else, hey, can you help this person X, Y, and Z? Second, really the top thing is they need to know themselves as a stylist and a braider. You have to know your time. I have gotten my time down to the minute. From the time you sit in the chair to the time you are checking out, I know exactly how long it's going to take me. And if I get halfway through your head and I'm not on time, I'm texting the next client.
Good.
I'm letting them know. That. And if they don't respond within 5 to 10 minutes, I'm calling.
Because I need you to know what's going on before you show up here. And then I'm running behind. And then it's like, you haven't checked your phone.
And if you don't check your phone, if you don't respond, and you still show up at your allotted time, the first thing I'm asking you is, do we have the correct contact information? Because I tried to contact you.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the
Keep
other beauty.
Your contact information updated, especially through a booking site. Absolutely.
And that's the beauty of having a booking site. Back to the AI situation, I have timestamps on everything. I can see when my girls try to contact you. I can see when I try to contact you. I can see if it's sent by text message, email, DM. I can see all of that. So don't come in here and say, oh, I didn't see it until 5 minutes before. Well, I tried. So here's what we need to do. If I know I'm running behind an hour, I'm going to let you know I'm running behind an hour. If that is a problem for you, I can either reschedule you or we can cancel this appointment. What would you like to do?
Yep. Same thing I do.
Because
we all know when we're running behind. You know when you're running behind.
You know when you're running behind. Luckily for us, it doesn't happen very often because we kind of have it set in stone.
Especially, like you said, one is running behind and y'all kind of jump in and help. That's the good thing about not working solo.
But the ones who are out here working solo dolo, like they don't have that luxury. But even when I was working by myself, I was always a proactive communicator with my clients. Hey, look, this person that came before you is, a little bit more difficult than I expected. It's going to take me a little bit longer. Can we reschedule for another day, or is it okay if we start a couple hours later? At least give the client some time to make a decision. Give them some time to make a decision, and then you really got to know your time around these parts, because some people, especially a lot of clients for us, they will drive 2 hours. 2, 3, 4 hours sometimes.
So they might be on the road and you just not letting them know. You know?
And a lot of times when they do that, they've already booked off the whole day. And so that gives them time to decide, okay, well, maybe I want to go to this store, or maybe I want to go sit down and eat or something like that.
True.
Instead of sitting here in the salon, eyeballing me, waiting for me to get done, hurry up and done. I can only braid so fast, ma'am. I can only braid so fast, and it's not my fault. Sister girl came in here with 10,000 knots in her head, and I chose to continue to take her appointment. That's another thing too. Like if they show up and they didn't read the booking policy and they didn't come prepped and prepared, and I know it's going to take me another hour, ma'am, we're going to have to either cancel or reschedule this appointment because it's going to run into my next one.
Absolutely.
And I'm not going to inconvenience the rest of my clients over one.
That's right. It's only fair because according to the booking site, the instructions are there how you're supposed to arrive. So if you didn't arrive that way, then you do take the chance on losing the appointment.
And you do have the option to add on a cleanse, condition, blow dry. Add that on so we can go ahead and add that to the schedule.
Yeah. Everybody be happy.
Everybody's happy. Everybody's happy. And I'm not cranky by the end of the day because I didn't get to eat lunch.
Yeah. Or not go home on time.
Yeah.
Because we go through that a lot in this industry where it's like we really can't even tell our families about what time we're going to come home. Unlike, most jobs, if you work 9 to 5, you out at 5 and you home consistently at the same time. But it don't work that way with us depending on how the day is running. That's why with my family, what time look, my last one is at 2. That's all I can tell you. Typically, it would take about 3 hours. But I don't know what I'm getting myself into. And that's our day.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you have a salon and you have people under you, whatever happens with their clients impedes into whatever you're doing too. So that's a whole different beast in itself. When you start taking on other people under you and you start taking on multiple clients, then okay, I could be that salon owner who's like, deuces, I'm out, y'all figure it out. But we were talking about reputation earlier. The reputation of the salon rests on me and my actions. I can't rely on everybody else to uphold that because they don't have the same skin in the game that I do.
That's right.
So I'm never gonna leave a girl hanging if I have the time to do so. And I'm never gonna allow you to be put in a position where you feel uncomfortable. Ever.
But that's for me, that's how you keep the morale, in the salon. It's like when they see the owner stepping in and stepping up, that really helps. It's like, the owner, you keep the level of respect that you need in order to run your business. But if you just dipping out on your braiders and you know that they need help, that's messed up.
It's really messed up. It's messed up, especially if you know you ain't got no nails going on.
Right.
But what
this
really,
your business, your baby.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So.
But really kills me is that I've been doing this for so long. I've always kept 2 jobs. I've always had my family. I've always made time for my family. My husband, he fell sick a couple of years ago, so I had to care for him. I had so many things on my plate, but my business never suffered for it. I still got to where I am with all those things on my plate. So it always blows my mind when there's a young person getting into this game and they got an excuse for everything. Why is it so hard for people to be to work on time? We all know that there's traffic. We all know how long it takes us to get to work.
Yeah. There's not an accident.
There's not an accident every day, y'all.
If it's not an accident.
It's not an accident every day. And a lot of times I take the same routes that everybody else do. Why is it so difficult to be on time?
That's a real thing for some people.
But that goes back to the conversation about a lot of people don't have the concept of time. They really think that it doesn't exist, which technically, if you go that deep,
it don't. But if we're trying to stay on us, trying to create
in
structure.
This realm,
create structure. Yeah.
In this realm, you have to have some concept of time. And if you have a problem with that in this industry, you need to figure out how to get on board with that. Like, get you some alarms, get you some bells, get you somebody to call you at that
time.
Set
about 5 alarms.
Keep yourself accountable because it requires self-discipline. Like, when I went from working a 9 to 5 to working for myself, it took me a good month or 2 to get myself out of bed every morning because that couple of extra hours of sleep was nice.
Absolutely. It's like creating that discipline,
Yes, it's self-discipline, but you don't have anybody to call you and tell you to get up and go to work. But if you have an appointment, you took that deposit.
Yeah.
You have an appointment at 9 o'clock. Why are you not there at 9 o'clock?
Yeah.
Those are the other videos I see all the time
on TikTok.
The girl be in the car with a bonnet on. My appointment was at 9 o'clock. It is 9:50, and this girl still ain't pick up her phone.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
And that's even worse when you're not picking up the phone. Like, it's already bad that you're late.
Have you seen the ones where they lie about what they doing or what happened? They be like, "Oh, I got in a horrible car accident," and they send them like a car accident picture, and then one girl messed up and sent the whole screenshot, and it had the timestamp at the top.
Girl, shut the. And you see,
like, these excuses are running out, y'all. They are running out. And it's going to catch up with you. And that's why during this down season, during this recession, a lot of y'all trying to find 9 to 5s because y'all don't have client retention. You don't have client retention because you didn't do what you were supposed to retain those clients. Yeah. You didn't uphold your reputation. You didn't show up on time. You weren't consistent.
Yeah, that's it.
That's why people aren't booking you.
That is. And no, it really is. Or I always hear the excuse, like, oh, all these clients are booking the new age girls, like, and don't get me wrong, these aren't stylists that I would consider old age either. It's like you kind of like in that little middle, It's like, oh, they're going to them because they're cheaper, and they're going to them because, whatever the case may be. I'm like, those are excuses. You have to stop focusing on them and revisit what's going on with you, because that's a you thing. They're not, clients don't book because, not all, they don't book because it's cheaper. So at the end of the day, you're going to have to revisit what's going on with you and your salon and the experience that you offer for these clients. Are you posting to let people know that you are even still doing hair and still actively behind the chair?
Right.
Are you even still, like, promotion today? Like, business cards ain't nothing today. If a client do be bold enough to ask you anything about your hair, if they like it, do you have an IG? Even though it's not reliable, but they want to see, like, are you active? For some reason, that's like the solidified, reputation right now.
But there's still so many clientele that don't even use social media.
Yeah, I know. But that's like the typical. Like, typically, that's what they're gonna say. Like, do you have an IG? So, like, one client, she didn't use social media at all. But this is what I think. They probably don't have an account, but they using other people's accounts.
Oh, I'm sure.
And they been
and a lot of the older ladies who come in, they're like, yeah, my daughter sent me as a guinea pig first to see if you was legit.
That
and I'm like, and then they end up being a loyal client, and the kid never comes.
The kid never comes. Vandy, what is this?
I'm like, wait a minute. they sent you in as an op, and you ended up
staying, and you never see this daughter
ever.
Girl, what is that?
A mess. I just kiki at that. That is too funny.
But it's a real thing.
It is a real thing.
Just be using
I even have clients who have told me that they do not follow me on Instagram. Get this, they do not follow me. Because they do not want their friends to know where they get their hair done, because they don't want them looking as good as them.
I ain't had that one.
It's a real thing. Raise your hand if you know that friend. It's a real thing.
I've had clients where they tell me, I'm not telling no one about you, because as soon as I do, you're going to be booked up. And then I won't be able to get in. That's the one I get the most. That's the one I get.
I've gotten that too. But it's usually the younger ones who are like, I don't want people to know where I get my hair done.
Well, yeah, it sounds like a young one.
And it's always the ones who don't want their pictures taken, or they do it from the back or something like that.
Because they don't want their face circulating on social media. If they don't want their friends to know where they get their hair done. Girl, that's a lot of energy.
The thing is that we're so good at what we do. We know our clients from the back of their heads.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know.
Yeah.
Like even during COVID time, during COVID time, there were so many clients that I did not know what they looked like in their face, because everybody wore a mask. And till recently, I started recognizing people by their face because they stopped wearing masks. But I knew who they were from the back of their head.
Yeah. What? OMG.
That's how you know we've been in this too long.
Yeah. You've been in it long. Do I know a client from the back of their head? I know one. I know if it's not hair extensions. It depends to the angle that I'm taking too. But,
and you know your work is good when other clients recognize your work too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Going back to your best marketing tool is your clients.
Yeah, absolutely. But I've seen it too where do a client's hair. So you probably don't have to worry about this because you do braids. Do a client's hair. I'm gonna tap into weave extensions. Hair be nice and polished when they leave. And you be like, you see it again and you like, that ain't my work. Like, you need to brush and curl and style that.
Oh, no.
Yeah, see, like with you don't have that to worry about because it's all tucked in. It's nice. You know, whatever they do is going to be nice regardless. But I'd be like, ma'am, you gotta still maintain it. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's the opposite. Sometimes it depends on the client. You know, some clients, you won't catch them slipping. It's not going to happen. You know, they have a certain look, whether it's an Instagram influencer or an influencer, period.
That's right.
You won't catch them slipping because they know they have, you know, all of this to maintain because that's how they built their following or whatever on social media.
And you always got to be camera ready.
Yeah, they always got to be camera ready. So with those girls, no, I don't experience that. But some, I be like,
girl, what had happened?
Man, they come back for that maintenance. I'm like, girl, what you been doing?
What had happened? What is going on here? But there are some clients, they know that they're not good with maintenance. And they know, like, yeah, girl, I tried, but this didn't work. You know, they know that. But some of them, they love to blame it on you. And it's like, I cannot control what you do once you leave the salon.
Once you leave the salon.
That's why it's important, people. This is what braiders tip. Always take a before and after
Always take a before and after picture. That's for everybody. Bump that.
Even if you're not posting it, always take a before and after picture. Even if they're in a rush, snap
video
on the way out.
I don't care on the way out. I don't care. Girl, keep walking in the parking lot.
Because you do not want them to go 10 minutes down the parking lot to take a picture of a braid that they unraveled and be like, this is trash. I want a refund. Yep. No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. Or you have that client who's like, my hair looks a mess after a week. What am I doing wrong? At least I know where we started and where we're ending. Right. And then we can work on it together. Yeah. But always, CYA, cover your Because you never know. Yeah. You never know. When I tell you I have storage for days, cloud storage for days, because I've even had people come to me 3 months later. My braids look like trash after 3 months. Ma'am, what?
They should be out.
They're supposed to look like that. They should have been gone.
They should be out. Yeah. But it happens though. It really happens. I remember I had a client. This actually was like a month ago, and she said, my closure, like it just keeps sliding, like it's not lasting like it used to. And I said, well, you used to come to me every 2 weeks and we would do a closure maintenance. Now I see you only when you want to take it down and put it back in.
Oh, that makes a difference.
If you're not coming back for me to remove the closure and for me to reattach it to maintenance the closure, your hair is growing, it's gonna push it up. I mean, you want it to be lifted anyway, unless you don't want your hair to grow. But even sometimes you have to even help them understand, and then it's like a light bulb. I'm like, dang girl, I didn't think about that. Like, yeah, girl, you was coming to me every 2 weeks, and then life, not that life started lifing, but you got busy. You moved farther away, so it's not as convenient for you to come. So you're not coming every 2 weeks for those maintenances like you did before. Now I'm seeing you every 2 to 3 months.
I had one lady, she tried to blame, she actually was a loyal customer. She had been coming to me for a good 2 years or so. And then she came to me one time and she was like, yeah, so I noticed that all of my hair was falling out here on the side. And I'm really thinking that it's the products that you're using. And I'm like, well, my products haven't changed.
Right.
So what changed in the time that you got your hair done the last time? So that, and we sat there and we talked about this for a minute.
Absolutely. You're going to have to address
I'm like, wait,
that,
I need to address this
Somebody
because I'm looking at the ingredients and I'm looking at the old jar and the new jar. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. This is the same stuff. What are you talking about? I haven't changed nothing. Well, maybe it was your technique. I said, I haven't changed that either. So, like, why are you trying to put this on me?
On you? Yeah.
So we started talking about it. Okay, have you had any life changes? Have you started taking medications? Yeah. Exactly. Have you had any hormonal changes? Yeah. Like, we are women. Every time we go through a hormonal change, our hair and our skin is affected. Yeah, absolutely. Like, are you stressed out? Like, what's going on? Yeah. Because that's usually the number one indicator that something's happening.
Absolutely.
And she was intent, it has to be the products that you're using. I said, well, if you feel that way, then I can't do your hair today. Yeah. I mean, I don't have any new products to use.
That's right. And if I use these products, then if you are so sure that it's the products, then it's going to
I'm like, I don't feel comfortable doing this at this point.
Because when I know it's not the product.
Exactly. So what do you want me to do? Like, how do we resolve this issue? What are you expecting from me at this point? Because I've run out of solutions for you. Yeah. So she was like, okay, well, I guess we'll just, I'll just have to go do something else. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. And because at that point, even if she wanted to move forward, I wouldn't have.
But let that be a lesson that you don't have to go back and forth with clients, and you don't have to change your tone, and you don't have to take what they say personally to you. A lot of times it just takes some communication. Like, just ask the right questions. Yep. And keep your tone low. It don't have to go up unless they say something crazy.
Yeah, because, like I always say, I'm going to be respectful. But I'm going to professionally and respectfully get my point across.
And the best thing to know about customer service is that the best thing you can do is just lay out on the table what solutions you can provide. Yeah. But if you want me to jump through 10,000 hoops that I've never jumped through before, I can't meet you halfway. Nope. And then that means we just need to sever ties at that
Absolutely. Point. And that's okay too. Stop trying to force something, because anytime you're trying to force something, it's not going to align anyway, But like you said, no. No.
And back to deposits. If I ever refund you for any reason that has nothing to do with me canceling on you, don't text me talking about the link ain't working. There's a reason that link ain't working.
Baby.
There's a reason that link ain't working.
Girl, I can't stand you right now. There's a reason why that link ain't working.
Because let me tell you something. I will refund you all your money before I allow you to sit in my chair again. If it got to that point.
Yep.
I will refund you all your money.
Because peace of mind
do not come back.
Priceless. Peace of mind is priceless. It is.
I should not have to go back and forth about anything that I'm not comfortable doing.
Absolutely.
And if you ever put my safety or my girl's safety in jeopardy, you are immediately banned from the premises. Don't ever come back.
Did you see that video where the client didn't pay this African braider and she cut all the braids out of her hair?
You know, I was wondering if that was just a setup video. You don't think that was a setup?
I don't know.
I feel like that video was circulating a couple years ago before. It was another video similar to that. And it was just getting a lot. It was like clickbait. It was a lot of clicks. So that was pretty aggressive.
It was super aggressive.
But if you've ever traveled to other countries and you see how they operate, then I can totally understand how that was the response to the situation. I can see that happening. Like, I can definitely see that happening.
I take you ain't never been in that position.
Oh, no.
What would you do if you were ever in that position?
What would I do and they said they ain't got no money?
And you done finished the whole entire head.
Well, that's what cameras are for. That's what having a booking site and taking credit card numbers is for. That is what.
But what if they
information for?
Like what if they went all through these great? What if you didn't have any of that aligned in your system? Because there are still some people who don't have those things aligned.
Well,
what would you do?
Well,
like no cameras, no nothing.
Well, like any other business, that's a risk that you take. Like, think about it.
What
like
you call the
during
hell
yeah.
Okay.
I know we can cuss on him, but
no, you good.
Holding back my potty mouth.
But I would definitely call the cops.
Well, the beauty of what where we work now, and then too, when I worked in my home, I had a Ring camera. So if they pulled up in a car, I got their license plate.
I already see you anyways.
I already see your face. I already determined who you are. I can match it with the credit card. If I can't for whatever reason, you can still submit that stuff to small claims court if you wanted to. But I'm not fighting you for $200. But I do have an extensive network of braiders and other stylists that I know. And I will gladly send that picture out to all of them.
Absolutely.
All of them.
And then you won't be able to get your hair braided. And then you going on social media.
You ain't getting a cut. You ain't getting a fade. You ain't getting a color. You ain't getting a correction. You ain't getting none of that. Because they know how I roll. Like, it's not that serious, y'all. It's not that serious. And second of all, if you had the time, energy, and money to put in a deposit and show up to your appointment on time, why you ain't come with the balance?
Why you didn't come?
There's no excuse at that point. And even if you didn't read the policy and you know we don't take cash and you still showed up with cash, I'll take it. That's really just for bookkeeping purposes, you know. And I don't like going to the bank all the time.
Ooh,
who got time for that?
Nobody, especially today.
And then we in Texas, baby, we stay strapped up in here.
What is it called?
I got my my blicky. Is that what you call it? The blicky? Girl,
what you gonna do?
Try me if you want to. Try me if you want to. My husband's military, my brother's special forces. I've been on that range, boo. I've been on that range. I grew up in the military. Try me if you want to.
Man, it's sad because what we ain't gonna be doing over here in BLS.
Try me. Try me. I don't have cash on the premises for that reason. Absolutely. You can't rob me.
Yeah.
Try me.
Absolutely.
Good luck robbing that system. What you gonna do? Take that?
That's it. But it's smart to not have cash.
I stopped taking cash years ago.
And it's crazy because I feel uncomfortable when clients ask me, "Do you take cash?" It happened maybe like once or twice a year. It don't happen a lot, right?
Yes.
And when I'm like,
and usually it's a guy. For us, it's always
like for me, it's not. But I'd be like, people still carrying cash. You know, like I didn't even know people still carry cash.
Girl, just the thought of going to the bank and asking for cash. I'm like, I got to. Like, why?
Yeah, because it's just too convenient electronically these days. So
yeah, and I get it. It's mostly like the older clients who are like, no, I want to pay you in cash. Well, you can tip me in cash, but I still need that payment. You know,
and plus it just made the the financials just easier to maneuver.
Oh man. Well, when you're operating legitimately.
That part. It makes it so much easier.
It makes it a whole lot easier.
Right. I don't want to go through trying to keep up with this cash. I don't want to do that.
And then the other thing that a lot of people complain about is I don't want to go cashless because of the processing fees. Well, if you're operating legitimately, then you would also know that processing fees are a tax write-off.
Yep. So just write the tax.
So you're not losing nothing off of it. And if there is a processing fee, just tack it onto the end of the price.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah,
you can do that.
Just do a little shift and a little balance,
and just say, hey, if you and a couple of places I went recently, they had like a cash option. Like if you wanted to pay cash, this was the amount, and if you wanted to pay with card, then they would add the processing fee to it. And it's like, okay, well, I don't have any cash on me, so I gotta pay the processing fee. So there are options available to you to make it convenient for yourself and your clients.
I know, it's so many, and I know one client definitely, I rubbed her the wrong way because of the processing fee. I think it was like $5.25.
Tried to tussle with you over $5.
She was like, why am I paying the processing fee? And I was like, well, because and I do give them that option. I say you can pay in cash if you want to. That's how you don't pay the processing fee. But in order to utilize these services, there's a processing fee that comes with it. And you have the option to not pay it. But me, regardless, I'm going to pay it regardless. You know? So
they're going to charge me for it.
Right, they're going to charge me for it, but you have the option to not pay. You know, so, yeah, I'll never forget that because I was like, $5.25. And mind you, I'm a stylist that don't accept tips. I charge hourly. So it's like a gratuity built in.
That's a good conversation to have. Yeah. I've had a lot of people ask me about whether you do commission or whether you do hourly or, what is the right and wrong way to do it. And because I've never been in the salon, I've had to figure it out on my own. So that's a good conversation.
Yeah, girls, I'm like, I'm not asking for a tip. I mean, if you were going to tip, typically clients tip over $5.25.
Yeah, and a lot of times it has something to do with people's relationships with money. So they see the additional fee.
Like the shipping fee, girl.
Yeah,
the shipping fee. Have everything in the car, you want to pay the shipping fee.
That will determine whether or not I hit pay. That will determine
maybe
it a lot of times.
Processing fee with the psychological.
It's a psychological thing, and a lot of times it's not palatable for them.
Yeah,
and they just see the extra charge. It's like getting concert tickets on Ticketmaster. There's like 40,000 fees, but they're doing that because of accounting reasons. That's the only reason that they're doing that. When really the actual total should be this amount. That's why if you'll book like a hotel, they'll say this doesn't include taxes and fees, or it does include taxes and fees. Guess which one I'm picking? I'm picking the one that does include taxes and fees because that number looks more palatable to me. So if you know that the processing fee is always going to be $5.25, just make the service an extra $10. Just make it an extra $7 or something, and they won't bat an eye. But the minute you say there's an extra fee for this,
but see,
why I got a fee?
It's hard with hourly though. It's like, how do you incorporate that when they're gonna know how much,
Well, that boils down to what do you want to make per hour as stylists. That's how we structure our pricing.
But those little processing fees, it's kind of like, how do you even do that? It's like, okay,
you kind of build it in over time, like we were talking about data points and looking at your what you do over the course of a certain amount of time. At the end of the year, you see, okay, this is how much processing fees was charged for these particular services or by these particular clients. How can I average that out and then change my pricing schedule so that it doesn't hit me so hard?
Because some fees add up.
They do.
Like I remember my son Barber in Virginia, he never charged a fee. I used to give him more in tips because I'm like, I used to tell him, Juan, look, I know the fee is like $3, but you see like 8 people a day, $24 times 6 days a week that you work, times 4 weeks in a month. Sir, that's probably your rent for the week behind the chair.
Exactly.
In 1 month.
Exactly.
So you need to figure out how you're going to build this in your pricing structure or you need to charge a fee.
Exactly.
Girl.
Yep. It has a lot to do with folks' relationship with money and the way they see it. Some people will always buy the cheapest thing because they can get more of it, but it doesn't last as long.
It's no value. And the quality stuff. Yeah, exactly. Quantity over quality. That's what they're choosing.
Instead of shopping around and finding the quality item that is going to last them a lot longer, your money is going to last you a lot longer. So that's a whole nother conversation in itself. And that goes to one of the questions that you had about how do I feel about folks spending more money on weaves than they do on their braids. Yeah. And it depends on the person. So some people, they're in here like clockwork every 4 weeks getting a new set of braids because that's their thing. And they know that they want it every 4 weeks. Some people will come in every 8 weeks because they know they can stretch their braids to 8 weeks. Yeah. The price is justifiable in most cases. Now, if you're paying $1,000 for braids every 4 weeks, that's a problem. Ooh. That's a problem.
Girl, who can afford that?
But a lot of people are like getting up in a tizzy on social media because they see all these clickbait videos that say, "Oh, I paid $750 for this," and then they don't watch the video and they immediately go to the comments. It's clickbait, y'all.
And it works every time.
Yeah, but there are some service providers who do charge upwards of $1,000, but it makes sense because they're doing micro braids down to their butt. Like, it makes sense.
It makes perfect sense.
That is time and hours. There was one girl, I can't remember what it was about. It was on a shade room, I think. It was on something, and she was charging something for some braids, and she said, "Oh, I paid $600 for this." And it was like down to the floor or something like that. And when I broke it down, I said, well, that's really, she only paid the girl like $50 an hour because it took her 9 hours to do it. Yeah. And she didn't have any help.
$50 an hour.
So, but y'all fussing about this $600 that the girl paid, but you forget this
calculate the hours.
This girl paid time, and then if it was in a salon and she had overhead, guess what? $10 of that hour is going towards light, cable, rent, because all of that stuff.
In their head, you're pocketing the whole thing.
That's what they think. No. And then the girl provided hair, so that was supply costs. Like, come on. Yeah. Come on, y'all. Y'all looking at the high dollar amount, and y'all not looking at the work that goes into it. Or you hear about the people who are buying flights to go to Africa to get $40 braids.
But you bought the flight, which would have cost just as much as you coming here.
So really, you going over there to exploit these people for their gifts and talents. That's basically what you do.
And it's not fair to them either.
It's not. No. Because if I'm going to do that and I go over there, I'm going to pay the same price that I pay over here.
Yeah, sure is.
No, they might think I'm big ball and shot calling, but no, I feel like you deserve this because this is how much I would pay anybody else where I'm from. Yeah. Period.
And why are you okay with doing that to somebody? Like, you are only coming to them because it's a cheaper route. And to me, that indicates that you don't see the value in this person and what they do. That's a red flag. Because it's like the mere fact that you can't see the value. You so consumed in what matters to you and not even thinking about this person and they have a family to feed.
Yep. And that's why a lot of these IG stylists is going back to their 9-to-5s because they was running out charging $400-$500 for some regular braids. Yep. Regular braids. And now your clients can't afford it. Yep. They can't afford it. And then back to like people spending so much money on weaves. Okay, yes. It makes sense. But guess what? Braids aren't as much maintenance, y'all. Nope. They don't have to come back every 2 weeks.
Braids aren't really maintenance at all. Let's just be honest. Unless you come to get your perimeter done, redone. Yeah. And if you wash it, whenever you wash it, it's still not as much maintenance.
Please, y'all, wash your braids.
Yeah, wash your braids.
Please. Every time y'all see me on a mic, I'm going to tell you to wash your braids, please.
A client wanted to know how often they should wash their braids. That was one of the questions that came through that I was asking the audience. Like, what do y'all want me to ask the braider? How often should they wash their braids?
Okay, so I see this similar questions like this on social media all the time. How often should you do this? How long should you do this? Or how many times should I do this? Everybody's head is different. Yep. Everybody is going to have different reactions to how their hair grows out, how their scalp produces oils and all of that stuff. If you're putting a lot of products in your hair and you produce a lot of oils in your scalp, guess what? You're going to have a lot of buildup in your scalp. And the only way to get it out is to wash it out.
Lifestyle, too, if you work out a lot.
If you work out a lot, your edges is going to start snapping back a whole lot harder. It's just that's just the nature of how hair works. That's just how it works. Your hair is going to grow.
Yeah.
And
you want it to grow.
That's the whole point.
Yeah, you want it to grow.
You want the growth. And please, y'all, stop it with the videos. Y'all taking your hair down and you cutting it down here thinking that your hair grew that long. Stop it.
I'm about to kick you out of here, girl. I can't think.
Now, apparently this is a real thing. There are a lot of people who don't know. There are a lot of people who don't know that your hair grows from your scalp.
Right.
It does not grow down here.
That's right.
Nothing happens down here. Once it comes out your scalp, it's dead. That's it. At this point, we call it protective styling because
let's talk about that.
We are protecting the hair that has grown out from your scalp from the elements and manipulation. A lot of times people's hair is falling out. There's a lot of breakage or whatever the case may be because they got their hands in it all the time. They got their hands in it all the time. They're putting too many products in it. They're putting too many alcohol high products in it, and it's drying the hair out.
Yeah.
You get your length from one, growth, and two, retention. Retention comes from protecting the hair that is already out.
Yeah. So what do you say to some professionals that argue that braids are not a protective hairstyle?
It's not a protective hairstyle when they are not maintained properly. When you are constantly going in and out of braids and you're not deep conditioning your hair in between those styles, you're not getting your trims on a regular basis, or you're doing a whole bunch of weird stuff in between those braided styles. Because I've seen that happen before. They'll take it out for 2 weeks and then they go get a silk press and then they think they can maintain that silk press by pressing it out more and add more
constantly throughout after the silk press.
Spraying all of the gots to be in it, all of it.
I have nobody spraying. What gots to be in braids or the silk press?
The silk presses, baby.
Why?
I saw that happening. Go look them up.
Gots to be. Girl, look, I'm about to look this up.
They was spraying gots to be on the silk presses. They was spraying pump it up on them, and then they was putting them flat irons on them. They was getting those leave out sew-ins, and they was pressing the mess out of them leave outs.
OMG.
Pressing the mess out of them. Or they'll get their braids, and the first thing they want to do is put it up in a tight bun.
I was going to say that. What about that one right there?
I told you not to do that.
I got to look up this guy. I sure do.
They ain't gonna tag it, girl. That was a trend back then. If I can find the videos, I'll send them to you.
Send me that.
But I would watch it and I'm like, why are y'all gots to be is water soluble. Stop spraying them on your braids.
Girl, there it is.
Stop it.
I found it.
She found it in less than 30 seconds. I'm dying.
I'm like convinced that this keeps my hair from getting frizzy.
Vandy, why I thought you was lying, girl.
Girl, I see it all.
But what's the point of?
Okay, so that is the third time I did that, I think, and I'm really onto something.
That's what she thought.
I mean, if you might be onto something temporarily, but over time, your hair is going to break off.
The long-term effects are
girl, I mean, like, it's so easy to pull up. Girl, this is my first time. I always feel like I'm just in the unknown.
I need to just create a group that I can just share videos in because I done seen it all. Stop, y'all, putting gots to be on braids.
Especially when you want to take that down. Can you imagine the detangling process?
The only way to get it out is either water or alcohol. That's more alcohol that's drying out your hair.
And then you got to think too, if you use water when hair has shedded, is it going to mat up in the detangling process?
When you go to take them braids down, you're going to have a horrible time. horrible time.
So they need to probably just wash their hair while it's still in
I know,
braids.
like for example, my daughter doesn't have a lot of buildup on her scalp, and I have a lot of clients who are like that too. They don't have a lot of buildup on their scalp, and they don't. And I advise them, you don't have to put a lot of products in it if you don't have itchy scalp or a scalp condition or anything like that, or dandruff or anything like that. You don't have to do all of that. And 8 weeks later, scalp looks clean.
You really don't. When I get braids, I probably will put jojoba oil on my scalp once a week. And I'm stretching it. Like sometimes it ain't once a week.
And see, me, I'm different. I have already eczema. Horrible eczema.
See, it depends on the condition of your scalp too, though.
Yeah. I have horrible eczema, and then the minute I start putting a lot of products on it, my skin and my scalp does not absorb all of the product, and so the rest of it just sits on the hair, and then next thing you know, it's just sitting in the braid. Because guess what? When you are also in braids and your hair sheds its normal 50 to 100 strands a day, those strands have nowhere to go. So that's another thing that we used to run into.
Where is it going?
It's just sitting right there.
Sitting right there.
It's just chilling. It's just waiting for you to let it out.
And then if you don't let it out and you go straight to that shampoo bowl. Oh.
So that's why it's important that you detangle and you make sure you wash. If you work out a lot and you have a lot of buildup on your scalp, use a clarifying shampoo on your scalp. And once a week, twice every other week or something like that, let it air dry, do its thing, and you can always use a very light leave-in conditioner on your actual hair shaft, the braids itself. If you use a heavy one, it's going to weigh the hair down, and it's going to be a horrible mess when you get ready to take it down.
Yes, it is.
I tell people all the time, the less you do, the better. I've been wearing these boho braids for like 5-6 weeks now.
Yep,
I
and
ain't
they
nothing
still
to it.
look good.
Cause I'm bad with my bonnet and anything that I tie around my edges, because I get headaches when I tie stuff around my head. Anything like that, I just gotta let my scalp breathe all the time, and then I be getting hot flashes and stuff. But, but I'm really bad about it, and I do that on purpose because I'm like, okay, if I can get through this, get in and out of water all the time, wash my hair all the time, not wear my bonnet, and my braids still look pristine, what are you doing wrong? What are you doing wrong? I don't put a lot of products in my hair. If I do oils, it's very light carrier oil. Stay away from that Jamaican black castor oil on your scalp, y'all. It's really thick. I know it's circulating on TikTok right now because they're trying to sell that stuff. But don't do it. Why
is it trending now?
Because they're trying to sell it.
Now
they're really trying to push it. It's very oil, but it's very old, but it's very good for when you don't have your hair in braids. Like when you're wearing your hair natural and you know that you're going to be washing it every week or something like that, or if you're trying to grow it back, the ones that have like the biotin in it or the vitamin E in it, that's great.
Those essential oils.
That's great. And you don't always have to have your edges braided up. Some people don't want any of their scalp to show. That's not how braids work, y'all.
What do you mean?
They don't want their scalp to show.
They want like that, those micro braids?
No, they want helmet braids. They want braids that like touch. Let me show you a picture.
Girl, because you see, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to do the math. It ain't math over here.
Let me show you. Actually, this girl, she sent me this not too long ago, I think. But you know how like
is it like
you know how like there's
braids?
Yes, like regular box braids. Okay. And there's no edges. Like no.
Yeah.
Everything
and they're like
is
literally
covered.
I don't
and I have people come to me and they're like,
painful, girl.
I don't want any of my scalp to show. And they'll book knotless braids. And
but knotless is gonna show. You cannot not show scalp.
That's the point of knotless braids.
You cannot. That's not gonna happen.
But that goes back to the unrealistic expectations, and we end up spending a lot of our time educating people. And sometimes education goes the wrong way because they already got it set in their mind
that's what
somebody else did that for them, and then you should do the same.
Well, you're not getting that with knotless, so that's a lie. Ain't nobody did that for you, baby. Unless you thought it was knotless and you were misinformed. But there's no way you can create that look with a knotless braid.
The last, I had 2 clients in the last month who got knotless braids, booked it. I even confirmed it with them. At the end of the appointment, they were like, "Oh, I thought I booked regular box braids." What?
What'd they say?
What
you say?
Well, no, I know better next time. I'm like, well, I'm not redoing
it.
Ma'am,
what? What's on my braid?
I'm not already doing it. My thing is, there's a picture before you even book. There's several pictures before you even book. So what were you thinking? But and then sometimes other people will book for other people, which is fine. But still, like, come on, y'all. Like, I'm not, as a consumer myself, like we talked about earlier, I'm going to provide you with the experience that I would want for myself. And as a consumer for myself, I'm going to make sure I know what I'm getting myself into before I give you my money for that deposit.
That's right. And it's like, if you booking in a rush, don't. Because at the end of the day, you're still not going to be happy with what you
There's been several times when people are like, well, I didn't see that this was available, so I booked this one anyway. Can you do this style? Well, that wasn't available
because of the time allotted. It's different. That's why it's not available.
Decline. You tried it. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to be mean. But you tried it. And I already told you, if you try to book something else, especially when we were doing squeeze-ins, when we were doing a lot of squeeze-ins.
I don't do those no more.
I was like, look, you have to book what's on the squeeze-in menu because that's what we are allotted for. That's what we have the people in the hands and the time for. But they will book the squeeze-in and be like, oh, no, but I wanted this instead. No.
Nope. It's a reason for everything.
There's a reason for that.
No one is trying to be mean. There's always a why. There's always a why.
And case in point, you cannot book mid-back braids and then turn around and be like, oh, I wanted them butt length. That's not how this works, because we don't do butt length without two people. And two people have to be available to do that. So if you booked your appointment a month ago for mid-back and you waited till the day before to be like, I want butt length, guess what?
Mid-back.
You're going to get that mid-back, or we're going to cancel it, or you're going to reschedule for something else, because we already scheduled out for those people to be on staff for those things.
That's right.
People don't think about that.
No.
People don't think about that. But, it's all about education, and here we are.
Yeah, here we are today. That's why the podcast here. Like, we don't really have a lot of time to get on TikTok and do our little social media content where every little experience that we have, every little encounter that we face. And it's like this.
And if you do follow somebody who does have time to do that, give them their flowers, because this is a whole nother job in itself.
It sure is.
It's a whole nother job in itself. When we go home and we still have to spend time with our families, we're still trying to figure out how do we get this reel together to make sure that we meet our posting time for tomorrow. And when we post on
social media, we're not ignoring you. That's still us doing our job. We're still working. That's still working. So you might see me post on social media and I have not returned your text. I'm not ignoring your text. I'm just not in the space of answering text messages right now. Right now, I am a content creator. So now I'm creating content. I'm wearing another hat right now.
Right. And if you let me tell you something. If you text me at any hour after a normal hour.
I knew it.
Okay, look, y'all. I'm not the 30-year-old. I'm not the 30-year-old stylist out here. I'm old school and I'm from the South. You do not text me at ungodly hours.
I knew it.
A question about some braids that's already on the site.
Yeah.
There's probably a pinned video on the social media page about it.
It's just
you're not getting an answer. You're just not getting an answer.
And see, for
it's already on D&D.
I'd rather do all of my research before I reach out to anybody. That's just me. Like I said, we're still clients and professionals. I'd be hoping someone have a link in their bio where I can book.
Me too. I'm like, just tell me where the information is.
That way I don't want to DM you. I don't want to text you. I'm like, I'm going to go to the link. I can read at my own leisure, on luxury time, and see, do this align with me, and can I roll with this? And
I got a couple days to marinate on it.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, instead of reaching out, asking so many questions, and I got to wait on you to follow up, because no one is ignoring you. It's just that we work with our hands. So to stop doing what we're doing, to follow up with your text messages, then the paying customer is definitely going to have a problem with that. So it's like no one is ignoring you at all. It's just that we juggle, a lot.
Yeah, and even if you hire somebody to do the job for you, they're never going to do it the exact way that you do it.
And if you hire somebody, you got to go up on your prices because you got to be able to make sure you can afford to pay them.
That part.
And don't nobody want you going up on the prices. So what do y'all want?
It's a juggling act, y'all. And it's a risk that we take all the time. And I try not to go up on prices too often. If I do, it's usually like once every 18 months, 24 months or something like that. You should go up
every year though.
Yeah, but I usually do a market analysis first to make sure. Because like right now.
what we talked about earlier.
Yeah, right now we're in like a recession. So in order to meet the consumer where they are as far as the demand goes, you may have to throw a few specials out there. You may have to throw a few extra loyalty points out there, to make sure that you're continuing getting business because the bills still have to be paid somehow. Yeah. So yeah.
Braiding styles can sometimes be seen as professional or unprofessional in certain workplace environments. How do you advise clients on navigating these perceptions and stereotypes?
So that is a very, very touchy subject because it's a fine line you walk between self-assurance, self-awareness, knowing your worth, and knowing your rights. So, for example, a lot of people don't know that Texas has a Crown Act now.
I did not know that. Since when?
Since I think early this year.
Yes, I did know that. I'm sorry. Yes, I did know that. Yes, I did. Yeah. It's like the Crown Acts are really becoming this domino effect.
But they didn't broadcast it because this is where we live. But
I was about to say because this is Texas, honey.
But even as somebody who came up in corporate America for a long time, I felt that way, and I even had a conversation with family members over the holiday about how they still feel that way. Whenever us little Black girls had to go to an interview, them braids was coming out, and we was getting a silk press. Yeah. Every time, because we didn't want to feel intimidated. We didn't know what we were walking into. We didn't know the type of people we were going to be making an impression with, because we always had to dim our light to make ourselves seem less aggressive or less unapproachable. But I've even seen some videos recently where some girls have had to quit their jobs because their counterparts or their peers went to HR and cried about how they felt some type of way about how they looked or how they act or things that are unrelated to their jobs. And it's so sad that they give into it because at the end of the day, that's not paying the bills.
Not at all.
I don't have
and it's not affecting your workflow. Like, let's just stop it. Like, it's not affecting your workflow.
Yeah, but it's always been a convenient excuse for them to not give you the same equal treatment. Yeah. But now we have rights. Yeah. And you can get paid for the rights. So if you know and you can prove that that's what's happening, Texas has a Crown Act.
Yeah, they sure
Look it up.
This
applies not only to jobs, it applies to housing and it applies to schools. Yeah. So that was a serious subject that I used to tackle a lot. Too. That was a subject I tackled a lot, especially with my mixed race clients and mixed race children. They would go to predominantly white schools and they would get their braids, and immediately the teachers were complaining. Yeah. Immediately the teachers were complaining, and they would come to me and ask me what I thought about it. And me being the person that I am, I'm like, I wish somebody would tell me I could wear my braids. But I would advise them. I'm like, okay, well, back then we didn't have legislation to back it. Yeah. So the best thing you could do is just say, hey, look, this is what I can do as a parent, especially my adoptive parents. I had a lot of adoptive parents who had either black children or mixed race children, and they would come to me like literally in tears sometimes because they didn't know what to do to help their child feel special or accepted in their space. And then I would just guide them on like, okay, look, this is how their hair works. This is what you can do to make it last longer so that they can, feel a certain way, do a certain thing. And then over time, the kid themselves will gain some confidence. And then they start bringing me some pictures and and stuff like that. So like you said, we wear a lot of different hats.
We wear a lot
and that was a hat that I proudly wore because I'm always going to go to bat for my girls.
Absolutely.
If you want to wear your hair pink, blue, purple, gray, black, whatever it is, go for it, boo. And now that we have legislation to back that, go for it 10 times harder.
Yeah.
Because how long are you going to get a chance to be a kid?
Not
to be
forever.
Creative, to learn
not
who
forever.
You are as a person.
And not long enough.
Exactly. That's why when my daughter was coming up, I'm like, baby, if you, whatever you want, as long as it's presentable and it fits you as a person and you know how to maintain it, you can wear whatever you want, boo. You can wear whatever you want, but you're not going to come out here looking crazy.
And it builds confidence.
It builds confidence, and especially in our little black girls, I knew the minute I had a daughter, I was like, I'm going to have to work 10 times as hard to make sure that she knows that she is important, she is validated, she is beautiful, she's going to do all those things because she's born into a world that is already set up against her.
Yeah.
And the only safe place that she's going to have is with me.
Is at home. So she needs to come home and feel safe.
Exactly. And if you don't have a safe place, then what do you think happens?
They fall by the wayside.
They veer off into other paths. And that's when, things don't turn out the way that they want it to turn out because you're too busy trying to please that employer who wants that ugly weave on top of your head instead of your natural hair that's coming out your head. Like, I don't get it. Like, I just don't get it.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense.
Why so much attention is just tailored around our hairs.
It was a convenient excuse.
Right. And I always say, like, if there were no straightening systems out here, whether chemical or physical, you would have to deal with this. You would literally be dealing with this because this is just how it comes out of my scalp. So, what, you just not going to hire no black people because the hair is curly?
Then you're going to be mad I come to work bald. What you want me to do? I just can't win.
No.
That's really what it is. So what do you feel about the girlies going back to relaxers?
I always just say do what's best for you. Because I know, like, with some of my clients, I only have 2 that still get relaxers. It's like a lifestyle for them. It's and not a lifestyle like a lifestyle I'm getting relaxers, but it's like I'm too busy. And natural hair take a lot of effort and a lot of time, and I just don't have time for it. And their hair is being damaged in the process. And they're like, I can take care of my hair better when it's relaxed opposed to when it's natural, and I can't come see you that often. Yeah. So I was like, to each his own. You got to do what's best for you. I know, with relaxers, the whole cancer lawsuit situation is, circling around. But I'm like, every time you go outside and breathe these air elements, every time you eat anything outside of anything homegrown, honey, you are taking a chance at getting cancer.
That's right.
So it's like, don't let your hair it controls you so much to the point where you are emotionally just unhealthy, because you see that in clients where their hair is ruling, specifically black clients, that's who I'm speaking of. Their hair is taking over their life, their psyche, and I'm like, honey, I'll slap a relaxer in his head I'm gonna die anyway. I will slap a relaxer in his head any day before I be running around here unhappy. You ain't living no way. So I'm sorry, y'all. Yes, I'm a professional. I'm not vouching if you do and if you don't. I'm just like, it's a to each his own thing.
Exactly.
And if I cannot bring you into my salon as often as you need me for free, I ain't telling you what to do. But I will advise you to take care of your hair. That's it. Yeah. Other than that, if you want to get a relaxer.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's your hair. You have to live with it, breathe with it, work with it. Yeah. Like, that is not up to us.
No.
You decide what you want to do.
No.
And if anybody is judging you for it, shame on them.
Shame on them. And I'll be like, girl, I don't mind being natural if you want to pay for those hair appointments. If you are that dedicated to me not relaxing my hair, you are more than welcome to pay for those hair appointments. You are more than welcome to come
that part.
Like, you gonna
pay for it, boo?
Yeah, you are more than welcome to come over here and do my hair, whatever the case may be. But like I said, you got to do what's best for you. Life already hard enough. Don't let hair be running your life like that, so. Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah. That's where I'm at with it. I'm sorry, y'all, if y'all feel like I'm a traitor.
Don't apologize. Don't apologize. You stand on it. Stand on it.
Yes, ma'am. So that's my take. And I heard your take because you like, yep.
I wish. I think it's so interesting when I see videos of girls who say, "Oh, my husband wouldn't like this, or my boyfriend wouldn't like that." And when I see that, I'm always just like, ever since I've known my husband, because when we first met, I was in college and I stayed in the beauty supply store. I was doing 27 pieces. I was doing red, purple, green, everything. I was doing everything. He never said anything about my hair. Ever. Because he knew that's who I was as a person. He knew I was going to change it up. Even when I put these braids in, I was like, oh, I think this is my look. 4 weeks in, I was like, I'm ready to take them out.
Yeah. I never had those issues either.
I'm always changing my hair. And so, but it never bothered him one bit. And every time I ask him, I'm like, do you like something over another? And he's like, no. No, it don't bother him at all. So it always blows my mind when I see people who are like, oh no, I only keep my hair this way because my man likes it this way.
Or I'm not gonna change it because I don't know how he's gonna feel about it.
Yes, like you're too scared to take a chance on yourself because of how somebody else feels, which are well within your right to do so.
I'll consult to let you know what's on my mind, but I'm gonna make the final decision. I just want to know your opinion and what you think, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna make the decision.
Yep, I wouldn't even consult him. I'd make a drastic change, and
he'd just going to walk in on it.
He'd be like, "Okay." I mean, because what is he gonna do?
Nothing.
He gonna drag me back to the salon and make me change it? No,
absolutely not. No, ma'am. No.
I always thought that was funny though.
But yeah, but you see it a lot. It's not even something that happens in a small group of women. Like there's a large amount of women who will definitely, steer away from certain hairstyles that they are dying to try because their husbands do not want them to try.
Right. You are absolutely
and
right.
They want to try it, but they like, I don't know how my husband gonna feel, and my husband only like long hair. He don't like short hair. I hear that one a lot.
Really?
That's the one I hear the most.
Oh.
My husband only like long hair. He don't like short hair. That I hear that one more than anything. Yep.
The only thing my husband has ever voiced is that he likes mohawks. He likes the mohawk look. Yeah.
But that's still not him telling you how to wear your hair. He's just telling you what he likes,
Not at all. I'm not telling him what to wear or how to wear it either, but, to each his own.
Yeah. But yeah, it do kind of, I don't know. I don't even know what that feels like because
I be feeling bad because I have a client in my chair and they be like, "Oh, I'm doing this because my man said he wants this," and I be itching to say something in my soul, and I'm like,
"Nope, don't say nothing.
Shut up.
Nope, don't say nothing."
Because it's gonna start a whole debate that I ain't gonna win.
Don't say nothing because whatever alignment and agreement they have, obviously she okay with it.
She okay with it. Okay with it, even though it looked like trash. If you okay with it,
I ain't doing it. If the results are trash, I'd be like, look, okay, let's revisit. What else do he like? Girl, I went to those extent because I'd be like, because that's my name, so I don't want to put no trash on there.
You're
right. So I'm like, what else is he interested in? The good thing is, like, most of the clients that have sat in my chair, the men are pretty simple. Like they don't like a lot of different things going on.
Just keep it black and straight and long.
Black and straight and long, or they curly hair, and black, or the more natural colors. They'll say that, and like even like I would say like a great majority of my clients are married or dating white men, and when their husbands or boyfriends pick them up, and I still press that hair, they be like, "I thought you were getting it curly." Like,
oh.
Girl, they do not want to see that hair straight. And I'm like,
But that goes back to the lip gloss video on TikTok.
What lip gloss video?
Oh, if you look up lip gloss on TikTok,
here we go.
Look it up. She talked about this. It was like a year or two ago or something like that, and she got a lot of backlash for it. But she was talking about how, in order for you to attract that type of guy, you got to have your hair a certain type of way, and got a whole lot of backlash about that. But it was the honest truth.
Was just lip gloss? Just
I think it's like a lot of S's at the end or something like that. I think so.
Let's see.
But she started trending again recently because somebody posted a similar video.
Ooh, she got 1 million followers.
Yeah, and then she took a hiatus for a while.
She did, because the girl don't see anything.
Yeah, she took a hiatus for a while because she got so much hate in her comments. But she was being very honest about how, that type of look attracts a certain type of guy.
She said, I already told y'all months ago that I'm doing school. No more content from me, so just let me be. My goal is not to be on this app, guys, and that's okay. I just want to be happy off the phone. Let me do that. Girl, oh my goodness.
Yeah. Just go on a deep dive with that. You'll see what I'm talking about. But yeah, that was a huge trending movement that happened. But us living in Austin, we see it all the time.
Yeah.
And a lot of other places don't see that. So it was very controversial.
Yeah, she oh my gosh. That's the thing about social media. Everybody got a voice now.
Yep, everybody got a voice, and everybody's going to interpret that voice a different way as well. That's what makes it very difficult, especially if you take things personally. You cannot take this thing personally, y'all. You're just putting the work out there and attracting the clients that you want.
And you can definitely unintentionally read it the wrong way.
I literally have my son read my comments because I don't have time for that.
Oh my God, get on there and respond to them folks.
Sometimes I'll read. Sometimes TikTok is better about attracting the right people so your comments make more sense. But Instagram is very much, the algorithm is very much built on negative and controversial topics.
It sure is, yeah.
And so the more controversial the topic is, the more engagement you get, and the more hate you're going to get for it.
Yep. That's Instagram toxic. I don't know.
Toxic, baby.
It's toxic. And I feel like, too, I've seen it where you see the same content posted on both platforms and get two completely different audiences. I feel like on TikTok, people are real. They're a little bit more real. Like you said, because it's created in a way where it's going to draw that particular person.
And the conversation is more constructive.
Yeah. But on Instagram, it's like, what's going on over here? Are the same people on TikTok and Instagram?
Yeah, you're starting to think they all NPCs and bots because it's like,
why is it so different?
Yeah, and people are like such like followers of other followers. So you see somebody post a negative content, they immediately piggyback on somebody's comment.
Yep.
And then the next person piggybacks
off of that comment.
And then by the time you get to it, the comment at the top is like, these comments are horrible. It's like, how did they go that bad?
Yeah,
but TikTok is definitely better at the algorithm pushing it to people that should see the content and who appreciate it more or who have more constructive feedback for it.
Instagram is gonna crash. It's not looking very sustainable right now.
Yeah. It's not the one right now.
I think TikTok kicked it right on out. I think that's what happened to it. TikTok. I thought it was gonna be Snapchat, but
no. I thought Snapchat was gonna phase out too, but apparently that's where all the kids at now.
The kids on Snapchat. Yeah. The kids on Snappy Chappy, like my grandma say. Take me off that Snappy Chappy.
That's a new one. That's a new one. I like that.
So, Vandy, what is some advice you would offer your younger self as a future braider?
Go with your gut.
Why go with your gut?
Because I took the route that I took, like a lot of people in my age demographic took. We were told that college was the only thing you could do.
Gotcha.
College, if you didn't go to college and you didn't major in something, that could make you a lot of money or get you a lot of status, you didn't make it. You weren't successful.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to go to college and you had to do these things and you had to enter the workforce and you had to work for a company. You had to do these things in order to be validated.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I had the opportunity to do cosmetology school in high school, I didn't.
Oh, because you could have knocked that out, went on to college if you wanted to.
I could have knocked that out and still went to college. I still could have did all of that. But I was discouraged from doing it.
Yeah.
Like it's not a real job.
Because it's like it's not a real job. That's what we get, job. Girl.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we always receive.
And I didn't have a lot of people in my circle. Like my mom didn't take me to the beauty salon and stuff like that. So I didn't have a lot of people in my circle to look up to. So I didn't have a lot of mentors. So yeah, go with your gut.
Mm-hmm.
Do the thing that moves you.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because that's the indicator that that's the gift that God has given you.
Mm-hmm.
This may be the gift that I have, but it's not the gift that's going to get me to the main goal and the purpose in my life because I'm still young.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still young.
Yeah.
I could live 2 or 3 more lifetimes after this.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, go with your gut. Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yes. Oh, that's a big one right there. My goodness. Oh.
So like I said earlier, like in order for me to do what I wanted to do, like I would have had to like go to an African braiding shop and be like, can y'all show me what y'all doing? I was too scared to do all that. It can be intimidating to ask for help and scary because especially when you're that age, it's that fear of rejection, that fear of being turned down, not taking a risk. Ask any successful person in this world. The only way they got there was by taking a risk.
Absolutely.
A leap, stepping out on faith. Just know that you will always be provided for. Your gift will always make room for you.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. Oh, I love that.
I wish I had somebody who would tell me these things.
Absolutely. Instead of trying to guide your life because they think that's what's best for you, not understanding like generations they change. Life changed. Things are not the same. You know, a lot of parents parent from, you know, the time that they were, you know, coming up and they think that that's what you need. And it's like, no, that's not what I need. I don't need that.
And I just saw that recent interview with Krishan on the Jason Lee podcast. And when he asked her the question about why she held her baby all the time, I got from that probably what other people didn't get from that. She said, because that baby doesn't have everything it needs. And so I'm making up for what it doesn't need. What she was saying is that baby doesn't have all the love it needs. It don't need all of the tangible things that we value in today's society. We don't need cars, we don't need money, we don't need houses. Passing on to your kids the things that you didn't have,
like
really
that emotional support,
really is about passing on and breaking generational curses, healing those inner children, and giving those children the tools that they need internally to be successful. Not all of these tangible things that we give them. Like, for example, my husband's a middle school teacher, and these kids can't read, but they come in with Jordans on their feet all the time. Like, make it make sense, you guys. Like, capitalism is really doing a number on us. And we need to stay, vigilant to that. And that's why we parent the way that we do. We recognize the strengths and the weaknesses in our children early, and we help them cultivate those strengths early. Those are the things that I wish I had when I was younger. If my mom knew that this was the thing that I loved to do, why was she not giving me those more opportunities to do those things?
Absolutely.
So just, keep it moving and understand that money is not the end all be all.
It's not.
I've been in situations where I was big balling, money just flowing all over the place, all that stuff, but it was not making me happy. It was not fulfilling me. I needed to find my space in the world that made me fulfilled. And this was one step in that direction. So, And just because you're good at that one thing, a lot of braiders got started early, they in their 20s. Just because you're good at one thing doesn't mean that that's the one thing you're going to do the rest of your life.
That's right.
Continue to grow. Continue to get educated. Go back to school. If you got the time and the money and the energy to do it, go back to school. I know I'm not going to be doing this forever. I'm going to transition into something else as I grow.
Yeah.
So just know that it's never too late.
Yeah.
I didn't start doing this until I was 35.
Yep. And the crazy thing is when you speak to people, they are usually, older that have arrived. It's hardly ever in your 20s and 30s. It's like these people are like in late 30s, 40s, mid 40s. It's almost like Viola Davis,
There's like a list that came out recently about all the people who didn't get successful until their mid 40s. Because it takes you that long to figure out life and the game of life and how to work it.
That's true. Yeah, it is. It's very true. All righty, girl. What is some invaluable advice you can offer to inspiring braiders?
Practice. Practice. Braiding is all about muscle memory, hand-eye coordination. If you are a good gamer, you can braid. That's one fun fact that people don't know about me. I'm a gamer.
Girl, what you be playing?
Everything. I taught my kids gaming.
Girl, stop. I only taught mine Super Nintendo. I don't know nothing else.
Oh, really? I have every single system except for Xbox. We're not Xbox family.
Girl, what you got? PlayStation, PS?
No, all PlayStation. We have all of the Nintendo systems. I started out very early. When I met my husband, he didn't have half the games I had, and I showed him a lot of stuff. So before I was braiding full time, in my free time, I was a gamer.
Girl, stop it.
And so now my kids are hardcore gamers, and so we're a huge gamer family.
My son is the only gamer. He's the only gamer. I was, and then I don't know. I just kind of, I think Sega started taking off, and then PlayStation started taking off, and I think I didn't grow with the era. Like I just stayed in that Nintendo era, and then when they tried to make the Nintendo 64. Some of the games were like, it was like a miss, mostly a miss, Then they tried to do the Wii. The Wii was cool, but it didn't hit, And
we
Nintendo,
still play Wii.
Yeah. And it just kind of, it just fizzled out. Like PlayStation and Xbox just took over.
Yeah.
So I was more of a Nintendo person.
Yeah. So right now what I'm doing is I'm developing a actual curriculum. Like we were talking about earlier, how they're phasing out cosmetology and curriculums and stuff like that. But I'm actually developing an actual curriculum specifically for braiders so that they can learn the business of braiding from beginning to end and learn all of the techniques and the skills and the products and how to use them, hair typing, all of that stuff.
Good.
But I'm trying to do it in a structured way that anybody could learn on their own at their own pace. Because in my opinion, I can teach anybody how to braid, but I can't teach you how to become good at it.
Oh, good at it. Okay.
So I can teach you I can teach you the hand placement. I can teach you all that stuff, but I can only teach that to you within a certain time frame. In order for you to actually pick it up and keep it going, you have to go home and practice.
Absolutely.
You have to have a head in your chair at all times and practice. I didn't get good until I started dedicating more time to my craft. When I had more time to dedicate to it, my brain and my eyes and my hand-eye coordination.
Muscle memory.
Yeah. I can do this in my
sleep. Girl, that's
in
so true.
my sleep. Like they said, it takes 10,000 hours to master a craft. I've been doing this for 20,000 hours. Like it's something that you just have to practice. And after a while, your brain is going to start to see it differently. For example, party maps, the minute somebody sits in my chair, I don't have to know them from a can of paint. Sit in my chair, I already know their party map. I know how many boxes are going on each row. I know all of that stuff. It's almost like a little AI robot or something like that. Like, you never seen Terminator?
Girl,
and they analyze
I
everything.
hope everybody that's seen Terminator at this age.
Yeah, it's gotten to that point now where I can already see the end product before I even get started. So it's about practice. Amazing. So for the curriculum, what I want to do is to develop a way for you to, one, start figuring out how to do it, and then get into the next level of learning the actual technique, and then learning the technical intricacies that go into it. So anybody can learn how to cornrow, but do you know how to do kiss cornrows? Do you know how to do feed ins? All of that takes for your hands to remember how to do those things. And then on top of that, you also know how to make the same product with different foundations. 4C hair is not going to look the same as 2C hair. It's not going to behave the same way. High porosity versus low porosity is going to change the way, how much product you use, what type of products you use. Density is going to change how much hair you add, how much hair you don't add.
That's the one right there. Yes. Because when them clients, when they have that fine hair and they add too much hair, girl,
it can look crazy. It can look mighty crazy. And then after a while, it becomes a dance that you do, that you just do in your sleep all the time. It got so bad to a point where that's all I did was eat, sleep, drink, and pee braiding. But now
you're where you at today, though.
But now that it's become muscle memory and I don't have to think about it, now my mind is free to do something else. So now I'm ready to move on to the next thing.
Because you should, once you've mastered something, you know, that's how I feel like the beauty industry does, you know, evolve, because it's like once you've mastered it, it is time to grow and do something else. And you pass down all that skill set and training that you learn, and you give it to someone else, you know, and that's how the beauty industry just keeps evolving, you know, and it's important for people like you to nurture, you know, these upcoming braiders, not only just in skill set, but when they see how you maneuver as a businesswoman, they'll want to mimic those same behaviors, you know, because that's what we experience a lot in the beauty industry, is how unprofessional we are, you know. So when they see someone like you, it's like they can mimic those characteristics, and then our clients can have better experiences with professionals, you know.
And not everybody's gonna make it that far.
That's true.
You will start, it's just like any other college course you take. A lot of us start with a certain major. By sophomore year, we didn't change that major 4 times. Because you don't realize that this was the dream, but this ain't for me.
I can't tell you how many majors. Girl, before semester even started, I done changed it 3 times.
My entire life.
What?
I thought I was gonna be a veterinarian.
Really?
I still love animals, and I still love my animals.
But what happened?
I got to college, and chemistry whooped me hard.
And you was like, nope.
Can't do it. I don't have it. Biology wasn't that bad, but then I started doing, I started going into actual clinical stuff, and I was like, this ain't for me. I can't do smells. I have a stomach. It's too much.
Mine was RN. So I know what you're talking about.
I did nursing too. I did nursing, finished the program and everything. And
then you finished?
I did. I did nursing assisting when my husband was in the military. Did finish the program and everything, got the clinicals, and I was like, my heart is too much into this. Like, I was crying at every bedside.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Like,
it's too much.
Like, I just knew it just wasn't in my soul to do it. But the minute I took that braiding certification and I went to the salon and I stood in the salon, I stood there and I said, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
This is where I'm supposed to be. And I remember going home and telling my husband that, and I said, it's the craziest feeling. I had a horrible experience there, but I stood there and I looked around at everybody and I was like, this is my place right now. This is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
So go with your gut.
Yeah.
Go with your gut. Yeah. Go with what moves you. If it feels right, that's where you're supposed to be.
That's right. That's absolutely right. All righty. Well, that's a wrap. Ladies and gentlemen, for now, because let me tell you, we
had too much fun with this,
and we got to do this again. We definitely got to do this again. We have to come back with more valuable, insightful information to push out here in the beauty industry. We have to, you know, to try to get rid of all this content we see out here. We got to drown that out.
Yes, we need some more value-added content. I need y'all to stop looking at all the sparkles and the smoke and mirrors and the filters. Stop doing that. You need to do your research. If you're going to somebody and they're doing something for you for your hair and you're giving them your hard-earned money to do it, you need you need to feel good about spending that money.
Absolutely.
And we need to feel good about servicing you.
Absolutely. It's an even exchange. For sure.
And that, dear listeners, wraps up another eye-opening episode of Hear What I'm Saying. A huge thank you to our incredible guest, Vandy, for sharing her invaluable insights and thoughts on the controversial questions surrounding the art and business of braiding. If you would like to stay connected to Vandy, you can find her on Instagram and TikTok at VLSHairATX and Vandy Vanity. Before we go, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the Hear What I'm Saying podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback and support means the world to us, and they help us continue to bring you more engaging content. Stay in the loop with us by following our podcast on Instagram and TikTok at _Hear What I'm Saying _. And if you have any suggestions, questions, or topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes, feel free to reach out. Thank you once again for joining us today. Until next time, this is Kinetra signing off the Hear What I'm Saying podcast.